Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing. We're going to be talking about uh, something that consistently I notice when fans of Black American fighters try to defend their lack of accomplishments and lack of resume. How consistently they use Golovkin as a measuring stick. Out of all the non-black fighters in boxing history, why is it that Golovkin is always the go-to? Or when defending how great black American fighters are and how they dominate the sport of boxing, how Floyd Mayweather is the fighter that's always brought up. Two retired fighters, both used to compare active fighters today. Let that sink in and try to think about why is it that these are the only two fighters that are consistently mentioned when trying to hype up some fighters, right? And try to downplay criticism, which is even coming from American boxing fans, because a lot of it is fair, right? And we'll get into that after this message. Stay tuned. Leave your comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Welcome back. I'm just opening my Sprite. If anybody's ever drank Diet Sprite, you know if you're too crazy with it, this shit's going to squirt everywhere. Okay, so let's get to this. I mean, there's a lot of great things you can talk about in boxing. A lot of fighters you can hype up, give tons of praise for doing what everybody sees as great accolades. Yesterday, I talked about how if you look at the top 5 fighters in boxing, the top 5 pound for pound ranked fighters, how you can appreciate the fact that they're doing great things in the sport. Not just great resumes, but great accolades. And that's why universally, these 5 fighters are all considered right there within the top 5. Whether you're talking about Bud Crawford, Usyk, Inouye, Beterbiev, and Canelo Alvarez, right? It's easy to list them. Off the top of your head, you can easily list these fighters as the top 5 fighters in the sport of boxing today, bar none. This has nothing to do with nationalism, racism, for the culture, or any of these kind of statements that people consistently throw out there. What it's about is literally what these fighters have done to prove themselves, right? And in truth, as a boxing fan, that's what we expect everybody to do. People are asking guys like Shakur Stevenson to take on big opponents and prove that he's great. People asking Boots Ennis to prove he's great, right? People are asking guys like Daniel Dubois to bounce back and take on big challenges to prove he's great. People are asking Teofimo Lopez to step up and take on some legitimate opponents and prove he's great, right? That's consistently what we ask everyone in boxing, whether it's a fighter from the smallest weight class, Calazo, who's going to be unifying against an unbeaten Thai fighter coming up soon, or the biggest fighters like Usyk and Fury, who are rematching for unified heavyweight championships. We expect the best fighters in boxing, the most hype fighters, the guys that get the most attention, to do something fucking incredible. You can even just look at this comment right here in my comment section, and it tells you everything you need to know about some biased fans. But let's get to the comments. So Zaki says, what's up? Maton is in the house. Mars Boxing, what's up? Tank versus GGG. It's not about Tank versus GGG. It's the fact that GGG and Floyd Mayweather are the 2 fighters used consistently. GGG to show hyped non-black fighters, non-Americans, and how they're garbage and hyped up. And Floyd Mayweather showing how dominant black American fighters are. And yet these are the 2 fighters consistently used to try to upscale current fighters today, right? I mean, you can't make this shit up. And Zaki proves my point right here with his first comment. How do we grade GGG's baby belt title defenses? Well, to be fair, those baby belt title defenses are the exact same belt that Bernard Hopkins was defending, right? Wasn't it? Wasn't it the exact same belt? I mean, it's not Golovkin's fault that he was ducked by Felix Sturm for years, right? And even when he was the baby belt fighter, the WBA wouldn't force or mandate him to fight the super champion, who was Felix Sturm. So he had to do what he had to do, which was defend his baby belts. He wasn't ducking Felix Sturm. He chased Felix Sturm when they were both under the same German promoter before he even moved to the US and before most people even knew who he was, right? But let's be honest, he had double-digit defenses of his regular titles as well. He was a unified champion 2 different times as a middleweight champion. But we'll get into that in a minute. Hard Recoil won't like this topic. Stringer's in the house. Why do you think Sean doesn't do live streams? Why I don't do live streams? Why? I don't know. Why don't I do live streams? I do live streams. I just don't do it every day like some people. Some people love to listen to themselves talk all the time. The reality is, most of these other streams, what they do is they have a bunch of people safeguard in their comment section, and anyone that left a comment that goes against the narrative gets blocked right away. On mine, you got to be a real douchebag and a real asshole to get blocked. Don't forget, he signed to fight Dmitry Pirog. But the irony in this statement is these guys that hate on Golovkin don't even know who Dmitry Pirog is. They didn't rate Pirog's win against Danny Jacobs. They don't care about him. They don't care about the fact that he was blatantly ducked by every single middleweight champion during his little reign as a middleweight fighter. I meant to put John, not Sean. My bad. He jumps into lives. He likes to do it because he thinks he can actually defend his points. But once again, every time he does it, he just gets destroyed. Right, John? Why is it that literally you lose all the time? Well, there it is. Felix Sturm, Kelly Pavlik, Sergio Martinez, Miguel Cotto, Canelo Alvarez. The funny thing is, John Boxing literally had videos on his channel defending Sergio Martinez and Cotto and Canelo for ducking Canelo Alvarez. Ducking Golovkin. He literally pushed that out because he's not a draw. So it doesn't matter, the fact that he was chasing all the best fighters in boxing. The fact that he wasn't a draw. He was too dangerous. They didn't want him to prove himself. So then they were happy with people ducking him. This is the same John Boxing that was super critical of Lomachenko not fighting Devin Haney, even though what he did was fight Teofimo Lopez for undisputed because Teo was the IBF champion. So he went on to unify fights instead of fighting his mandatory who hadn't really proven anything at that time. This shows you the clear double standard a lot of these YouTubers and American boxing fans have, right? It's always about a narrative with most of these guys. Hopkins was the first boxer to unify all 4 major titles. He was also the oldest boxer to unify at 49. And what does this have to do with Bernard Hopkins? If you want to listen to JB's video, you can see by the time Bernard Hopkins was 30 years old, he hadn't done fucking very much in his career. This is a criticism for Golovkin, right? Because Golovkin was older when he made his American debut. Because, of course, coming out of the Olympics, winning a silver medal after winning a gold medal in the World Championships, he ended up signing with a German promoter, considering he's European, and then got stuck into a contract which wouldn't let him fight top middleweight fighters in boxing. So he had to wait out his contract, fight throughout Central America until finally he was free and he could come to the US and finally make his debut, right? Nobody's hating on B-Hop. When I compared Golovkin's resume to B-Hop's, there's a lot of truth to it. B-Hop and Marvin Hagler, right? Both took losses early in their career to not great opponents. Both had to come up tough against tough fighters, but not getting name opponents, exactly like Golovkin. Exactly the same. Of course, historians would understand that, but narrative-driven fanboys, they will skip over that and not understand it at all, right? But it was similar. He had to come through difficult circumstances to finally make a name so he could finally get fights in the US and make the money he felt he deserved. This was the same thing Hagler was complaining about. I know. I was there. The same thing B-Hop was complaining about. I know. I was there. I remember both of those fighters and Golovkin, right? And how all 3 of them had to dig and fucking go through tough fights and didn't get anything given to them, right? 2 of them ended up losing early on in their careers. Finally, B-Hop became an undisputed champion. Golovkin easily could have become the undisputed champion, He was a 3-belt champion that had a draw with Canelo. He could have easily went on to fight Billy Joe Saunders to become undisputed. Do you think this would change public perception of guys like JB and other Golovkin haters and somehow make him out to be a superstar because he became undisputed? Of course it wouldn't, because they would be critical of who he fought to become undisputed. So what he did is what he had to do: rematch with Canelo Alvarez, right? And he drew with Canelo Alvarez. That's not a loss. That's a successful title defense. If you get a draw against somebody, that's marked as a successful title defense of your belts. It's not a loss, right? And we knew, everybody knows he won that fight. He was jobbed, ripped off by Vegas, right? But let's get into the deeper topic here. Adames and Lara would still avoid Golovkin if he decided to come back. Of course they would. GG fought how to speak English when it was anyone else, not at 160. Oh, come on, Mayton. The reality is GGG did not need to worry about anyone outside of 160. Why did he need to worry? See, this is, again, why I don't understand people like Mayton, 509. Like, why did Golovkin have to worry about 154-pound fighters who never fought one another? You had Charlo, Andrade, and Lara. Not one of those fighters fought one another to unify titles. They never showed enough courage, enough fucking moxie to actually unify titles in their own fucking weight division, right? Mitch Green, of course, a fanboy who doesn't know anything. The reality is he has just as good of a chance to beat fucking Lara as fucking Canelo Alvarez did. The reality is, though, you're a hater, so it doesn't matter what you have to say, because I just proved my point. What unification fight did Lara have against Charlo or fucking Andrade at 154? None. Zaki. Yes, you think fucking Derevchenko beat Golovkin, but I know who beat fucking Hopkins and who beat Hagler. Those are literally L's on his resume. But you need to dig up a potential, oh, he lost to Derevchenko. He didn't lose to Derevchenko, but okay. See, you won't give him the win versus Canelo, but you're more than happy to find a way to give him a loss. But then you want to dismiss and ignore B-Hop and Hagler's losses. But they lost. Hagler lost to a fucking inactive, injured Sugar Ray Leonard who'd been out of the sport for 3 years, right? This is the other Hopkins resume of wins, Smokes GG. Okay, you name 5 good wins at middleweight that Bernard Hopkins had. Go, Zaki. 5 good wins that Bernard Hopkins had at middleweight. Just 5. I'm not even asking for a lot. Ward was too scared to fight. Yeah, like, we don't even need to talk about Ward. People using Ward, who was coming out of retirement, tells you everything they need to know. This is the lengths that people go to try to discredit and hate on Golovkin, right? But yet, you don't need to talk about Golovkin when you're talking about Tank Davis. But Golovkin is always the standard. Why? Because these guys feel that Golovkin was a failure and a hype job, right? And because of that, he's what white fighters are represented by. All white fighters are Golovkin. So he will be used for all of them, just like Floyd Mayweather is used for all black fighters. As if Floyd represents every single black fighter and Golovkin represents every single white fighter. They don't. They're 2 examples. And then there's a skew of other fighters who are way different, with different resumes, different accolades, different styles. But consistently, when we try to fanboy for American fighters, Golovkin is always used to try to discredit non-Americans, specifically non-black American fighters. And Floyd is always used to talk about how dominant black American fighters are. You tell me in 2024, who are the dominant black American fighters in the sport of boxing? Right? There's a bunch of very good fighters. There's a lot of untested fighters that haven't proven themselves. Who are the great fighters that are dominating boxing today? Where are we? You don't know anything about boxing, Sean, just a Canelo fanboy. Mr. Miraji, you haven't made a statement related to boxing. No, now you're deflecting. Tell me the 5 best wins. 5. I mean, you give me 3 great wins from fucking B-Hop at 160, right? Just 3. Uh, Tank fans, H Money Channel don't want him to face Jack, and they're saying Haney should fight him. But they're cool with Tank fighting Roach. Wow, the logic of them is dumb. Well, the reality is these guys, I just had an argument with a guy on Instagram today or X because I left a comment on a troll that's always on X. And he left a comment and talked about fighters not moving up in weight. And I said, yeah, Tank Davis won't go to 140. And then this guy just came out with a huge barrage trying to defend Tank because Tank said 140 was too big for him. Well, if that's the case, then keep the same energy for other fighters you asked to pull up. Joppy, garbage. De La Hoya, a welterweight. That's my point. The best wins on B-Hop and Hagler's resume are welterweights. Tito Trinidad, De La Hoya. Hearns, Duran, a lightweight, right? Yet that's basically what Golovkin was doing. If he would have got his win, even though he should have had his win, versus Canelo. Very similar, same level type of fight, pound for pound quality fighter coming up in weight. I know he said Joppy. I mean, imagine what Golovkin would have did to Joppy. Imagine what fucking Golovkin would have did to Glenn Jones at fucking middleweight. Like, I mean, give me a fucking break. Like, this is revisional history when people like to use these names and somehow build them up as if they were great. Glenn Johnson fucking had double-digit losses. He was never elite. He was never a Hall of Famer. He's not a great fighter. Trinidad De La Hoya, both welterweights, who came up in weight to get beat by the naturally bigger fighter, a guy who was a light heavyweight in his first fight as a pro and lost his first fight as a pro and then came down in weight. Imagine if Golovkin had lost his first fight as a pro. I mean, we see the bullshit continue spewed because Lomachenko lost his second fight against a 3-weight world champion in Salido. B-Hop lost to a fucking bum-ass opponent in his first fight, right? Hagler lost to club fighters. I'm not trying to downplay them, but isn't it funny how all these fighters get a pass? Their resumes are shown to be great. Oh my God, look at these guys they fight. But you don't even know who those guys are. You're lucky if you've even watched any of them fight. But then the scrutiny and the criticism that Golovkin gets, right? And this just shows with Tank Davis. I don't heavily scrutinize Tank Davis's resume. I just say the problem with it is you want me to spend $90 on pay-per-view for these kind of opponents. It's not a pay-per-view fight. As far as the opposition he's fighting, I don't mind. But the problem is don't fucking act as if you're giving me something great because you're not. None of it's great. Even me accepting Ryan Garcia because I know it's going to sell and make them money, it's not great. Everybody knew it wasn't going to be great, but yet we accepted it because we understand the business of boxing. Ray Robertson and Duran had double-digit losses. Well, that's what happens when you fight long enough, right? Golovkin had Danny on survival mode after the knockdown. Jacobs was overrated. Of course, Jacobs is overrated now. GG couldn't do anything with Jacobs. Jacobs, who refused to make next day weigh-in for the IBF title so he could weight bully Golovkin. He was the IBF champion who refused to make next day weigh-in and was ineligible to winning the IBF title. I mean, it's amazing how people overlook certain things to fucking push narratives. Yeah, Jack impressed me. He figured out Regis' awkward style. He's a smart boxer. He could have knocked him out if he had power to do it. I wasn't impressed, but, you know, I don't really like the style that he fights. Catterall is too negative in his style. It's too boring to watch. He's just not a fun fighter to watch. Every fight he makes look very boring and ugly. GG beat blown up Brook, weak win. So, yeah, see, this is Zaki once again, not showing the same energy. He's okay with B-Hop fighting 2 welterweights, pulling them up in weight. And those are historical wins. He used examples of great wins. But Cal Brook, he's a welterweight. What do you mean? Middleweights and welterweights fighting each other is fucking history. Hammer and Hank Armstrong going up to face fucking Sugar Ray Robinson. That was a welterweight going up to face a middleweight. That's normal. Marlon Starling going up to face fucking who? Michael Nunn, that's normal. That's part of history in boxing. Duran was a lightweight who went up to face fucking Hagler at middleweight. But that's a great win. Okay, see, here you go once again showing how these people are either ignorant to the sport of boxing or they just fucking want to pick and choose. But I get Regis still dangerous, but it would have been a bigger statement to be the first man to stop Regis. Yeah, if he would have stopped Regis, that would have made a statement for sure. But he's not a stopper. Regis was there taking. He still got a win for Jack. He beat him better than Haney. I don't think he beat him better than Haney. But to be fair, right? Haney is I think, a better boxer than Jack Catterall. I don't think there's a question about that. He's also more front foot friendly. GG gave Brook what he asked for. And the reality is, people that talk about Cal Brook, Golovkin did not go to England to fight Cal Brook. He went to England to fight Chris Eubank, a top contender in the middleweight division. He was chasing all the top middleweights who blatantly ducked him. Why didn't he fight Eubank? Because Eubank ducked him. I didn't put that down as a duck because he wasn't a world champion. But this was another example of a middleweight who blatantly fucking ducked Golovkin. That's the only thing I don't like about Jack. So he can KO if he pushes it. Sean, you have GG over Hagler. I'm not sure. Imagine if Golovkin lost to Bobby Watt's opponent. That would never happen. But imagine if he did, right? Imagine fucking Golovkin losing to a fucking bum-ass guy like B-Hop lost in his first fight, or having a draw in the first world title fight he had, right? Against a guy you guys don't even know in Segudo, right? Like, I mean, it's easy to be critical of somebody and shit on them and act like you know their resumes of these great fighters, yet you didn't see 90% of those fucking fights. But you're going to act like, oh, these are great wins. GG resume of wins is pretty awful for a supposed Hall of Famer. So I guess in that case, so is fucking Hagler. Because the only good wins on his resume are fucking blown up lightweights and welterweights. And he lost to a welterweight. So that's the comparison of fucking Golovkin getting beat by Kell Brook. He'll get in with those title defenses. He also is a silver medal Olympian as well, and was a dominant amateur during his period of time. That's the one funny thing when you talk about this narrative about Tank Davis and Golovkin. Tank Davis has been a pro for 11 years. Golovkin was a pro for 16 years, which means Tank Davis still has 5 years to outshine Golovkin. And if he did what us boxing fans are asking him to, he'll do that easily. But somebody said, look at what Tank Davis did by the time he's 29 years old compared to fucking Golovkin. Golovkin was a fucking world championship gold medal winner and Olympic fucking silver medal winner. He actually was fighting in the amateurs, as Europeans do. So, of course, he did not make a world title fight at 21 years of age because he didn't have a big promoter who grabbed him fucking out of the American amateur system early on in his career. Right? So these kind of comparisons are stupid. It's like JB, when he tried to compare Abdullah Mason and saying that he's better now than Lomachenko was when he turned pro. And it was like, are you fucking mental? Anything to fucking hype up fighters and then disregard and downplay others, right? And 9 times out of 10, it's all racially motivated. Oscar or Brook, really, Sean? What do you mean? Marlon's was Oscar De La Hoya the only fighter I fucking mentioned? Like, see, that's the problem. Something up here with you, Zaki, it's disconnected from reality. I gave you historical examples and told you that Kell Brook was not the fighter that Golovkin tried to fight. He tried to fight a top contender in Chris Eubank, not a welterweight. The only reason he fought a welterweight is because Chris Eubank's fucking promoter, Eddie Hearn, invested money in making a fight in the UK with Golovkin. So he needed an opponent. Let's keep this 100, right? Zaki, you kind of getting cooked, brother. Fight back. Newton and Hawker said, hello, you boomer. Mitch Green, nothing to fight back. GG wins aren't squats to Hopkins. It's not debatable. Yet you can't tell me any good wins that B-Hop has outside of fucking 2 welterweights. He lost to fucking Roy Jones. He lost to fucking Jermaine Taylor. Jermaine Taylor, who was what? A middleweight contender, who went on to do what at middleweight after fucking beating B-Hop? Not fucking much. Not a guy that went on to have a historical fucking career, but beat him twice, right? Beat him twice. And then look at some of the guys Hagler's lost. You don't even know who they are. You never even watched them fight. That's the irony, right? The irony is people talk like they know so much, but yet they don't know fucking anything about most of the fighters they talk about. Haney and Catterall would cure my insomnia. That's fucking a fact. GG ducked Andrade blatantly. Why don't you mention that? Mr. Miraji, how did GGG duck Andrade blatantly? Can you even explain it? Do you even know the time sequence? Because the reality of the situation is Golovkin was fighting Canelo Alvarez to unify fucking titles, right? Where was Andrade in that comment section? Andrade was a guy who moved up from 154, never fucking tried to unify against any of the great fighters there. Once again, you ignore that. And then you see what happened to Andrade the first time he fought a world champion. He got knocked out by fucking Benavidez. But you're hyping him up. The reality of the truth would be that Canelo ducked Andrade, because instead of fighting Andrade for undisputed, what Canelo did was ended up going to 160, 175 pounds to fight Kovalev. But that's not what happened. The IBF did what the IBF did, forcing him to fight Derevchenko. He got stripped of the IBF title, and at that point, being only 2 titles instead of 3, he said, fuck it. I agree, but Haney, after the Ryan fight, pretty sure is damaged. He has no chin, no power. Jack and Haney becomes interesting now. Yeah, it becomes an interesting matchup, but it's still a boring-ass fight that nobody fucking wants to watch. If we're going to make a fight at 140 pounds, let's just do fucking Lopez and Haney. And we know the only fight Haney's are interested in is a Ryan Garcia fucking rematch. Anybody trying to compare GG's wins to Hopkins is ludicrous. Yet once again, Zaki, you can't tell me any good wins that B-Hop had as a middleweight champion. Right? That's the ludicrous thing. I can tell you 1 loss, 2 draws that B-Hop had before he lost 2 more fights. So 4 losses, 1 draw in middleweight. 4 losses, 1 draw. Golovkin had what? 1 loss, 1 draw to fucking a pound-for-pound Hall of Famer in Canelo Alvarez. And it should have been 1 win and 1 draw. But okay. Benavidez would destroy GG. Oh my God, Miraji. So, Benavidez would destroy Golovkin. I mean, he's the guy fighting Golovkin's leftovers and fucking David Lemieux. And you're probably one of these dudes that doesn't want Tank Davis to go to 140. But then you're talking about Golovkin fighting a 168-pound fighter. Why does he need to fight fucking Benavidez? What did Benavidez ever do? Not a fucking thing. Benavidez duck better BF blatantly. Why don't you mention that? He'll never mention anything that doesn't fulfill his narrative. He's just proving my whole point of my video today, right? That guys like him say ridiculous shit to fanboy fucking guys like Tank Davis, and then use guys like Golovkin to criticize non-black fighters, all to hype up black American fighters. And then they use Floyd Mayweather as the ultimate see, because that's the only fighter they know. They can't even give you historical great fighters because they don't know anything about boxing. Sugar Ray Leonard, Hearns, Duran are monsters. Sugar Ray Leonard was retired for 3 years, came out of 3 years of retirement and beat fucking Hagler. Duran was a lightweight. And Hearns, at that point, hot and cold. Sensational knockout versus Duran. Terrible fucking loss to Iran Barkley. I mean, you're not sure what you're going to get from that guy. Cal Brook is a bum. Yeah, of course. See, that's it. There he is. This is crazy, Sean. No, what's crazy is you, once again, can't prove your point. So you just scream out stupid bullshit. And the reality of this isn't even about Golovkin and B-Hop and Hagler. It's the fact that Golovkin is consistently used to hype up black American fighters who are not fucking living up to expectations, i.e., fucking Tank Davis, a guy that blatantly is not doing what he should do as a face of boxing. Nobody ever said Golovkin was the face of boxing. Tank fans, H Money said people are hating. Just the fight was canceled and they have to invent stuff because they're jealous. Yes, people are jealous. How come Sean doesn't shit on Jermell, a guy he literally hasn't done shit? Jermall, which one is Jermall? Is that the 160-pound fighter or the 154-pound fighter? I never can tell the difference between the two of them. Duran beat Barkley at 160 to be champion. Yeah, Barkley, who is fucking nothing. Barkley's claim to fame is that he beat fucking Tommy Hearns twice. But outside of that, he got beat by a bunch of fucking mediocre fighters, a guy that had no defense, walked straight forward, and tried to land power shots before fucking getting knocked out. Zaki hates Golovkin. He is the epitome of the type of person I'm talking about. A person who blatantly will use Golovkin to fanboy black American fighters. Right? Whereas Golovkin is just one fighter. You can't use him as the fucking scapegoat or the example for every non-black American fighter in the sport of boxing, now and then. We all know Zaki and JB wouldn't have given credit to GG if he KO'd Floyd, but Hagler is praised over Hearns and Duran. Exactly. I mean, Floyd consistently capped talking about how Golovkin was easy work, yet blatantly turned down that fight multiple times, according to fucking Loeffler. Right? Just like Cotto, Canelo, and Sergio Martinez. Canelo literally dropped his fucking title in the garbage to avoid fighting Golovkin. I mean, but yet this means nothing. This means nothing to some of these guys, right? Those dudes live rent-free in your head, you crazy creating content about their opinions. Once again, GGG lives in Zaki's 304 head. Pete Kennedy would have destroyed Dudu Andrade. Destroyed him. Like anyone that thinks Andrade, who never fucking fought a world champion in his career until he got flatlined by Benavidez, would have beat Canelo or Golovkin, is fucking mental. That guy couldn't fucking fight consistently 8 rounds. After 7 rounds, his gas tank was done. How's that going to work with Golovkin's jab beating the pounding fucking consistently on him? Andrade wanted to fight him. GD said he wasn't interested, even though Andrade had a belt. Are you talking about his second run? Andrade was interested. Is that the same Andrade who ducked Janibek? So he was interested in fighting Golovkin, but he ducked Janibek. Come on, man. Did they make an offer? Did they try to do anything? Did he fight anyone at middleweight? What did fucking Andrade do as a middleweight? Not a fucking thing. Even Charlo has a better middleweight resume than fucking Andrade. At least he beat Derevchenko, which was a solid win. His only solid win, but at least he got one. Andrade got 0 solid wins at fucking 154. 0 solid. Oh, okay, maybe we can give him Martirosian. 0 solid wins at fucking middleweight, and he didn't do shit at 168. Didn't do shit. Why didn't he? Why didn't he? Because he fought Murata in Japan for fucking tens of millions of dollars. That's why. But see, this is the problem when I see guys like this. I'll give you an example. Once again, this plays into what we're saying. These Tank Davis fans acting as if Tank Davis is the face of boxing and is the A side and deserves fucking tens of millions of dollars to fight fucking bum-ass opponents, right? Like fucking Frank Martin and Lamont Roach, guys who didn't prove shit in the sport of boxing and likely are never going to go on to do anything in the sport of boxing, right? Time will tell. But, 5 years from now, when we go back and look and see they didn't do shit after that, after their fights with Golovkin, Tank Davis, it'll prove my fucking point. Criticize and hate on Golovkin for doing what they wish their favorite fighters could do. Get tens of millions of dollars in huge pay-per-view fights. Golovkin got 3 fights, a trilogy against Canelo. 1-1 and 1 should be the result, and that's historic. 1-1 and 1, right? You can look at all kinds of guys that are considered Hall of Famers who have similar type of, trilogy responses on their careers. And then went to Japan in a huge fight with Murata, and it was a great fight too. It turned out to be excellent. But he should have fought Andrade for fucking $100 in fucking Maine. Because somebody was actually interested in fucking Andrade outside of True School Sports and fucking Punch Drunk. Nobody gave a fuck about that guy, and nobody does. Tank is a prime example of woke homo agenda trying to be pushed in boxing. Exactly. Hopkins beat a blown-up 160-pounder at 175 in Kelly Pavlik. That was a great win for B-Hop, beating Kelly Pavlik. That was probably one of his best wins, for sure, right? A blown-up middleweight, I mean, that's cap, because you could say that about 90% of the fighters in boxing today. David will destroy Better BF next year. Yeah, sure. We don't have to worry, because we won't see that fight, because there's no way David Benavidez and the PBC are chasing after Better BF. But you continue to push your bullshit, PBC fanboy narrative. DB couldn't even destroy old retired Bostic. I know. A guy that fucking literally Better BF sent into retirement 5 years later. Well, 5 years later. If in 5 years these guys haven't done anything, it proves that they're fucking not great historical wins like fucking Tank Davis fans want to act like. What, you think fucking Lamont Butler or Roach and fucking Frank Martin are great? Frank Martin was 28 years old before he fought for a world title, 29. JB was literally shitting on Golovkin for winning a belt when he was like 29 or 30. Frank Martin's going to be the same age and never fucking won a title. He was great. The older Arthur gets, the better for them. Well, exactly. That's what they're hoping to do. Age him out. Why they bring GGG a lot if no Black American fighter beat him? Danny Jacobs, the best really at 160 over Dudu and Charlo. Yeah, Jacobs beat by GGG. Well, that's the irony, right? Literally, these guys really wanted a Black American fighter to beat Golovkin. That's why they were pushing Charlo, and Andrade. They even used Lara, but obviously he's not American. And then, of course, they went to a retired fighter in fucking Andre Ward. Anything to try to fucking talk about how they dominate the sport, and Golovkin was a hype job who was no good and was only getting attention because he was white, right? And so the people that beat him, who? Canelo Alvarez, the only fighter in boxing to beat him. And this is the same Canelo Alvarez that beat Lara, beat Charlo, beat a bunch of Black American fighters that people really rated. Jack Catterall is catching unnecessary hate. I like the fight versus Taylor twice in Regis. Do we expect to see him get Alberto Puello or Tio? Puello is going to fight Hitchens. If he beats Hitchens, I would look forward to him probably more taking an Australian fight, maybe versus Kambosos or another opponent. Tio is in line to fight the winner of Ramirez and that other fucking Mexican-American fighter that are going to be fighting each other on that Latin card in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know where that leaves Catterall. I mean, we know that Haney ain't interested. Haney just wants a fucking Ryan Garcia money fight. So Jack is probably going to be on the outside looking in. Why do you think everyone in your chat that disagrees with is Black? You are obsessed, bro. These dudes, man, pretending to be something they're not. Charlo lost to Canelo. Dudu got beat up by David and Ryan. Owned Haney. Stop it, Zaki. Your fighters turn out to be overhyped bums. And I'm not saying that, Mexican. What I'm saying is, isn't it ironic that Black American fighters aren't held to the same level of criticism? And when they are, it's all about race. You're racist. You're hating on them because they're Black. But what do you mean? When we hold all fighters to high levels of criticism and expect them all to do great things, I was a Golovkin fan, but what I said is he still needs the big fights like Hagler and Hopkins did. The big fights like Leonard, Hearns, De La Hoya, Tito Trinidad, Canelo Alvarez. He got that fight, and I felt he was robbed 90% of boxing fans feel he was robbed. So he did exactly what they did. So you could argue, oh, well, Canelo Alvarez is not on the same level of Tito Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya, Duran, and Tommy Hearns. Hagler lost to Leonard. But now you're being dishonest because he literally did the same thing they did in his era, right? So it's a very credible comparison. And that's what I said he needed to do, and he ended up doing it. So, of course, I'm going to give him credit, just like I give B-Hop, who I was a fan of, and Hagler, I wasn't a fan of because I was a Leonard fan. He's not. He's right. Canceled. The first world champion Andrade fought, he got his cherry popped. Facts. Got his cherry popped. Tank will retire before Canelo. That's likely. That's likely. He's talked about it before. Like somebody used his comment that he's too small to fight at 140 as a way to say, well, he doesn't need to fight at 140. Okay, so he doesn't have to. So then fight someone at 135. But he also talked about how he wasn't going to be a boxer for very long, which means he probably will retire in less than 16 years as a pro. And at the pace he's going now, he's not going to accomplish as much as Golovkin did. Tank, it's going to be hard for Andrade to get in the Hall of Fame. He ain't getting in no fucking Hall of Fame. Never. Mexican boxing, I can't wait for the Canelo versus Eubank fight, man. I'm excited. That's a good fight. I'd be happy to see Canelo go to the UK and fight Chris Eubank. But we know that fight's not going to happen because Chris Eubank is going to fight Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn's son. Canelo fights tune-ups to prepare for tune-ups. Yet Zaki hypes up Tank Davis. Isn't it ironic that now you're going to bring Canelo Alvarez into this comment, which consistently is what you do? This just proves my point again. Shitting on a non-black fighter to hype up a black American fighter. Yet the comparison is counterproductive. Tank Davis at 29 years old hasn't fucking come close to accomplishing what Canelo Alvarez did. And no matter how much you cry, Zaki, and know how much fucking comments you put on trying to discredit Canelo, it's a fact. Tank Davis is not half the man Canelo Alvarez is at the same age. And Canelo Alvarez was arrested far fewer times as well. So, I mean, at least Tank Davis got one thing up on Canelo, eh? Zaki, there I agree. Jack, boring, I agree, but I appreciate all styles in his boxing IQ is great. King Nalo does whatever he wants. Andrade ducked Janibek and Parker. Yes, he did. JJ Redick looks like a good coach so far. Well, JJ Redick's a smart guy, so, you know, I have no problem against him. I think he could do well. But the problem is, you know, he's kind of got to make sure everything he says agrees with LeBron James, or else it's going to be fucking, you know, a hostile takeover in the dressing room. That sucks. Jack deserves a title shot. Mitch, yes, he does. Gennady and Loma have caused a major disturbance in the black boxing community for years now. I know. It's sad that these two fighters get so much hate, as well as, of course, you know, Canelo, Roman Gonzalez, Anui, and now fucking, of course, Junto Nakatani. Whenever a non-boxer, that non-black American boxer does well, this is what we consistently see. I don't understand it. You can support black American fighters. Why the necessity to hate on everybody else? Right? Why? I have Jack beating Tio. Jack is better version of Sandor. I don't know if he's a better version of Sandor. Sandor's best win is better than anything I think Jack has. His win against Mikey Garcia. But, you know, Sandor is also more aggressive. That's sad. I'm surprised to find Jack and Regis have the same arm reach. It didn't look like it. Damn. I'm not the biggest Devin Haney guy, but I think he beats Jack. Me too. I think that would be the kind of fight he should take. A guy who's not a hard puncher, is not going to overly commit, and can allow Devin Haney to do exactly what he wants at his pace. And it's a solid win. You beat a guy that beat Taylor and Regis. Quality victory at 140 pounds. That's the kind of win that fucking ages well. It's a solid win for Haney, as opposed to just chasing the money fight. Jack deserves to be a world champion for real. Great UK fighter. Tank Davis is going to try hard to finesse himself into retiring undefeated. It looks like that. It looks like what he's trying to do is what Floyd and Andre Ward did. You would be happy for Canelo to fight Ben Jr. That's a joke fight. Mr. Mirage, not only are you stupid, but you're also fucking deaf. I said Canelo fighting Eubank in the UK would be a good fight because obviously UK fans would be all over it. You wouldn't because you're a hater. But that fight is for UK fans. Canelo going overseas to fight in the UK against a UK opponent, right? Financially, it makes sense. Just like Tank Davis fighting Ryan Garcia made sense. Just like Floyd Mayweather fighting Conor McGregor made sense. But what I said was Eubank is going to be fighting Ben. So that fight's not going to happen. So stop the cap. Canelo ducked Benavidez. He is a disgrace. Man, see, I know you don't even like David Benavidez. And that's the funny thing, right? You just fucking a hater. And you just want to fucking hate on a non-black fighter as much as you can. Why do you keep saying that, Sean? I literally never hype up Tank when I'm here. What did I say? Jack has better wins than Tank. Am I using the comparison? Talking about how people always make that comparison. Why are you owning it? Because that's what happens consistently. You're the one that brought up Canelo. You brought him up in a conversation, in a debate. We're talking about Golovkin being used to defend fucking Tank Davis. But once again, you had to bring Canelo Alvarez into the conversation. Jack has better wins than Tank. Let that sink in. Jorge Linares, Josh Taylor twice, and Regis. Well, Regis and Taylor are good wins. Linares, when he fought him, come on, that fight was well past its best. You'd have to say Petraza win is better than Linares win for sure. But outside of that, maybe you could say Ryan Garcia is a better win than one of those Taylor Regis wins. But then that still leaves Tank Davis one win short, right? Ring IQ said his sources are saying PBC's giving Canelo a 2-fight deal, Charlo and Benavidez. Well, that wouldn't be a surprise. We know that they're talking about getting Charlo back in the ring, even though I don't understand why they just wouldn't do Charlo versus fucking Caleb Plant. That's the fight to make. That fight makes sense. Throw Charlo in there with Andrade. The winner gets Caleb Plant. Right there, you got fucking very good 168-pound in-house PBC fights. But you're going to throw Charlo in there with Canelo, and Canelo, once and that again, is not going to get no credit for beating him, right? Yet this is the same Charlo that people were hyping up for years, saying that Canelo ducked. And now they say, oh, he's only going to fight him because he's coming off of mental health issues. Oh, my God. Stop. And Benavidez, exactly. Benavidez was never and ain't ever going to chase fucking undisputed at 175. Stringer, yeah, that's too good. And beat their fighters like Gary Russell Jr. and more. PBC, my source says, Benavidez my ass. Yeah, Nick Ball beating Ford, too many to count. They can't call them UK bums now. The only guys beating those UK bums are Mexicans, not Black Americans. Every time those UK bums fight an unknown Mexican guy, they end up getting knocked the fuck out. That's 100% fact. You think Eddie Hearn would learn? I remember when John debated Ring IQ, I felt secondhand embarrassment for John's argument. He got destroyed. Mayton, I had too many Modelos watching the Dodgers tonight. Excuse my grammar. Go Dodgers! Nice. Up 2-0 on the Yankees. I can't wait to see Shohei Ohtani become a fucking World Series winner. And of course, Japan already won the World Series of Baseball as well with this pitcher today, Yamamoto, and fucking Shohei. So Japan not only dominating boxing, but dominating baseball as well. Regis made that fight kind of exciting. Nah, you're good. You mentioned Ring IQ source said. I was rooting for Campbell Hatton, but back-to-back loss is not looking good. Well, that dude fucking was only living off of his father's fucking name. I never was impressed with anything I saw with him. I wasn't impressed by Jack, Stringer, John Boxing. He always thinks he never gets destroyed because he's delusional. PBC has to understand everything doesn't belong on pay-per-view, but they don't because unfortunately they're in a position where they have to put everything on pay-per-view. I noticed his video cause it's so obvious he hating on non-black American fighters. Now he talking good about black Latino fighters. Exactly. Iceman's in the house. Mike Trades, what's up? I remember people were so high on Charlo. Those clowns were saying he would beat Benavidez, Bivol, Charlo was very overhyped. The Charlo brothers, they've been fucking professional fighters for fucking over 15 years now, right? Both of their resumes are mediocre, but yet you wouldn't hear JB shitting on their resumes. He will actually hype up their resumes and their mediocre wins. Of course, one Charlo's undisputed, yet I guarantee you Golovkin would have knocked out every single fucking fighter that Charlo fought. He would have knocked out Tony Harrison, got zero credit. He would have knocked out Brian Castano, got zero fucking credit. He would have knocked out fucking Hurd, who of course Charlo ducked and got no credit, right? And as far as older brother Charlo, his one big win against Derevchenko, solid win. But what did he do at 154? Not much. Moved to 160, sat on his hands for fucking 4 years. I got Limos 500 on it. I'm surprised John hasn't made a video hating on Otani. Yeah, a lot of people are hating on Otani already. Keyshawn Davis, Limos is great. Fight, potential upset. I got Keyshawn winning, but yeah, it's a great matchup. I was impressed by Limos. I thought he got robbed in the Hitchens fight. Hearn said Turkey confirmed Bivol better Biev rematch next year. I'm glad. I thought the IBF was going to get in the way. Well, the good thing about Turkey, he can offer that step-aside money, right? He got that cash. John Boxing has become what he hates. He has. Only way he loses if he gets robbed. I had him beating 8-4. So you think Keyshawn Davis can't outbox Limos? Really? He's a much better fighter than fucking Hitchens. Also, with more power, and he sits down in his shots more, and he's not just a fucking mover. Whose undisputed run was more overrated? Jermel or Taylor? Jermel. He lost twice. He lost to fucking Castano, and he lost to fucking Harrison. Taylor didn't lose to anyone. He beat Regis Prograis, and then he beat unified champion fucking Ramirez, right? And he won his title off of Baranchek, first of all. So his run was much better. JB's next video, Otani ain't on Barry Bonds' level. Babe Ruth was black. yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the irony is I love Barry Bonds. I think Barry should totally be in the Hall of Fame. And I love Barry because Barry was a 40-40 guy, right? And I understand why he took PEDs, because everybody in baseball was. So why shouldn't he? Yep, GG would also KO both Charlo brothers as well in the same night. GG was a monster in his prime. Monster. How the fuck does Tank Davis fight get postponed? He's considered TBOF to some people. Well, that's the criticism, right? Because you're selling pay-per-views that nobody wants and nobody thinks is going to sell. So you can't be surprised that it's not going to fucking get pushed because your company sees that it makes no sense to do that fight on pay-per-view. So they figure you might as well tie it together with Benavidez like you did last time. At least now it becomes a little more marketable and makes more sense. And you have more time to promote it as well. But to be fair, the fight's still listed on BoxRec, so it may not necessarily be canceled like some people are saying. I agree, Zaki. Yep, I thought he was the most talented Charlo as well. And I said I thought he beat Derevchenko the most convincingly out of Jacobs, Golovkin, Adames, and Charlo, and Munguia. Even Mimbili, right? I think Mimbili potentially could have lost to him. But it's interesting to put Derevchenko in with all those fighters, right? We'll see. Limos is special, not an easy out. Sean, will Barry Bonds die before he gets in the Hall of Fame like Pete Rose? Let's hope not, but probably. Without PEDs, Barry Bonds is still a Hall of Famer. Fucking fact. Fact. 40-40. He was a monster. Fucking great player. They're all mad Tanks fans. So the fans of boxing know that's a fight we don't want to see. I keep hearing Virgil Ortiz is ducking boots at 154 matchup in February, and he'd rather fight Keith Thurman. Well, of course he'd rather fight Keith Thurman. Like, that's a no fucking brainer. Of course he'd rather fight Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is going to fight Tim Tszyu. He got injured, so now they're going to recycle Keith Thurman to do a Virgil Ortiz fight. Of course he'd rather fight fucking Keith Thurman. He's going to make more money fighting Keith Thurman than he'd make fighting fucking Boots Ennis. And it's a way easier fight. So that fucking says everything. I would prefer to fight Keith Thurman over fucking Boots Ennis. Bronny James should play on the Lakers G League team, gain experience, improve skills, come back stronger next year. Apparently that's what he's going to do now. Blame Victor Conte, currently still allowed to be in the sport of boxing. Fucking disgrace. That's the irony, right? You know, they use this guy as an example of pointing out other people that cheat, yet he is the fucking kingpin of cheating. Sean, is Willie Mays in your top 5 MLB all time? Yes, he is. Barry Bonds hit a ball against the Angels in the World Series that I still don't think ever came down. Barry fucking was crushing balls, man, especially fucking in San Francisco Stadium. But when GG fought Sergey, he was done, bro. He had already had 2 wars with Canelo, was in his late 30s. Prime GG would have destroyed Sergey and Charlo. Yeah, I agree. That was already the slide. Really, we started to see the slide in the Danny Jacobs fight, right? So, you know, it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Luckily for Golovkin, he always had that dominant jab. So even when he still wasn't the fighter he was before, his jab and boxing mind was still good enough for him to be competitive against anybody in the sport of boxing. Keith Thurman brings in the views. He's like a Rolly. So that's a big fight. It is. Even though it's garbage, I fucking won't be excited about that fight. I'll be like, give me a break. Like, I want to see Ortiz fucking beat up a fucking old-ass, bum-ass fucking Keith Thurman, who literally hasn't fought anyone at 154. That's just as ridiculous, maybe more ridiculous, than Errol Spence getting a world title fight. The only good thing is it's not a world title fight. Bronny James will never get back into the league. He was only brought in there so LeBron could have the father-son moment. That's a fact. A fact. If you were Tim Tszyu's manager, what 3 fights would you choose for him moving forward? Interesting topic. Let's take a look. So let's go to the 154-pound division. He's kind of disowned himself from Australia, moving to America. So that's disappointing because he could easily make a very mediocre fight in Australia, which would be totally accepted by Australian boxing fans, right? You know, fighting a guy like with some name recognition, a guy like Jack Culkay, or a guy like fucking Sam Egerton, right? 31, 39 years old. Maybe a guy like we're really going down on this list. Maybe a guy like Takeshi Inui, still a good fighter, but, you know, a quality opponent. Maybe a Rashidi Ellis, only 1 loss in his resume, right? Still might be too much for him. The great Fernando Vargas, holy shit, Fernando's coming back. Maybe a guy like Paul Kroll. Like, obviously, if he fought in the States, like Paul Kroll type of opponent would probably be better in the American market. But in Australia, I think he could get away with fighting really anybody in his first fight. Wendy Trisant, right? Quality opponent. Maybe in Australia he could fight Abdur Kakarov, right? 31 years old, aged much older. 3 losses already against limited opposition. Maybe a guy like Thomas Delorme, right? 7 losses, 34, past his best, right? There's a lot of guys out there that you potentially could fight. Even a guy like fucking Falastin Gabinov, the Uzbekistani fighter, 33 years old right now. 2 losses, still a good fighter, good amateur pedigree. Just lost to Butayev, quality fighter, but Butayev destroyed him prior to losing to Merkel Fox going the distance. Outside of that, those are both not terrible losses, especially Butayev, who potentially could easily be a top 10 154-pound fighter in that division, right? Easily. No, Thurman Virgil is definitely not confirmed. Is Spence coming back? I feel he's not, and they're just milking it. Yeah, I feel similar. I don't believe it until it's actually fucking signed, sealed, and delivered. Tim has the worst corner in all of boxing. I heard Virgil was going to fight that Russian guy that just beat Tim Tszyu, but maybe it's all talk. Yeah, I think that's all talk. I don't think they're going to put him in with him. It'd make more sense to fight Bud Crawford. At least then it's like a huge pay-per-view with big money on the table. Tim got badly exposed. Yeah, Virgil is good. He just got used to running guys over with his power, but when he just boxes, he does well. That's what he needs to do against the Russian guy. Mitch, Tim would destroy Spence and Boots. What? Destroy Boots? You crazy? Tim Tszyu can fight some you mean Aboriginal? John Boxing made a video saying Tim Tszyu's cooked, but then made a video saying a loss doesn't define a black fighter. I know he consistently makes back-to-back videos that contradict himself, right? So a loss doesn't define a black American fighter, but a loss defines a non-black American fighter, obviously. Golden Boy going to try to get the WBC to strip Funduro for Virgil. I don't think that's going to happen. You're crazy. Boots got exposed like your most hype-up fighter, Darling Jared, remember? You crazy. Who did Boots get exposed by? The guy's going to rematch who he still beat? Do you think the Russian guy that beat Tim Tszyu can be a problem for Bud and Ortiz at 154? I think he's a problem, but I think he's a little too basic to beat Bud Crawford. But Virgil, maybe. I was not impressed with Virgil's performance against, what's-his-face? The Ukrainian fighter, Boholchuk. And actually, I think the Russian fighter is tougher, has a better chin than Boholchuk. Boots would beat the snot out of Virgil. Well, we know why you're saying that. Again, with fucking racial narratives. The reality is, different fighters, great matchup. We'll see. May the best man win. Same thing will happen with Boots. Watch when he steps up. Boots, very easy to hit. We will see. I think the problem is Boots sits down on his punches, and when you sit down on your punches, you get countered, even if you're Lomachenko. If you want to be more defensive, use your jab, your speed, and your footwork, and not take a chance and counter punch, which he could do, then you're not going to get touched as much. But it's not going to be as marketable. It's not going to sell as well. Virgil, tell him to first learn to cut off the ring, that hype job, before he comes to mess with the best at 154. I swear, if Boots goes the distance against Karen again, y'all got to stop bringing up Virgil. Boots is huge for 147. Huge. Boots is good, but I really think he should go to 154 because I don't believe there's any hard fights for him at 147. Well, it doesn't have to be hard fights. He just needs to solidify his legacy by unifying titles, potentially becoming undisputed, and then move to 154, right? Why shouldn't he do what other great fighters have done, right? Nobody was asking Charlo to move to middleweight, even though there was no great fucking opponents at 154. Exactly, mate. They remind me of Tank fans. Boots has done nothing and looked bad versus Karen. Yeah, but you can't be overly critical of a fighter because they look bad in one fight against a very awkward, difficult styled matchup. Because Virgil just looked like shit versus Boholchuk. I thought he lost the fight. Bud Crawford did not look dominant against Madrimov. I think he won because Madrimov didn't throw enough punches. But he didn't look great. He didn't dominate, right? People said he looked old. So, if you're a boxer, stylistically, different styles are going to cause you different problems. You're not always going to look dominant and great depending on who you fight. It's like when Floyd Mayweather fought the drunken professor or drunken fucking whatever. That dude ain't fucking great. He wasn't elite. He wasn't a top 10 contender. but he still made Floyd Mayweather look bad. Most likely the Bohulchuk versus Madrimov winner will face Bakram. I agree. Turkey will give those guys another title shot. Exactly. And much it deserved, right? That's the Eastern European title. And it'll be great fights. The winner of Madrimov versus Bohulchuk should be a fucking great fight. And then you throw the winner in with fucking this guy, Murtazaliev, another great fight. And then you have the IBF world champion, who is a monster. A monster. And then you still have the guy I just mentioned, Butayev. So the winner then could fight Butayev in his first title defense. We could keep that title all fucking Eastern European all day because we know the Americans don't want to fight those guys. Not fucking voluntarily, that's for sure. Bolchuk beat Virgil, in my opinion, making him 2-0 this year. Now needs to go 3-0 versus Madrimov. But in my opinion, he's going to get knocked the fuck out versus Madrimov, and that's going to show you what a quality performance Bud Crawford had versus Madrimov. I don't think Bud fights Murtazaliev. He would have fought Tim Tszyu. He'd fight Virgil Ortiz. But he ain't fighting Murtazaliev. He already fought one unknown European. And Americans fucking didn't give him any shine or praise at all. If anything, they just used it as a way to shit on him more. Now you take on another Eastern European? No, it doesn't make sense at all. Keep it pure Eastern European, man. Wow. KO, okay. What's KO? Oh, yes, KO. Yes, Madrimov. The real Mexican monster at 154, Funduro. I want to see Boots tango with him. Bring it. Boots Ennis fucking kills Sebastian Funduro. That shit ain't even going to look fucking competitive. He will destroy that string bean motherfucker. That dude is garbage truck juice, and there's no chance he would beat a fucking guy who is also very long, but way fucking better, way more skilled. I mean, Jesus Christ. Funduro is garbage truck juice, man. Garbage truck juice. You mean he gets smoked? Yes, I agree. He gets smoked like a fucking seasoned ham. That dude fucking is done. Done. I hope it rains. I have to go to my friend's Halloween party in the park. They're going to like do a picnic at 4. I ain't going to that. A bunch of kids running around. And then I have to go help run like activities for the kids in the park. As I'm sitting here sweating in my living room, I don't feel much like fucking getting off my ass. I don't trust Funduro's chin against the top guys. No, me neither. He is not that great of a fighter. He already got fucking roasted and toasted. He looked like he was going to get fucking splattered all over the fucking ring by Tim Tszyu. Luckily for him, he's got some bony ass fucking elbows, and that was his only savior. That dude is not as good as his sister. Who do you got in the rematch, Beterbiev or Bivol? I'm heavily leaning towards Beterbiev in the rematch and potentially getting the stoppage this time around. Because if Bivol thinks he's going to win by being more fucking negative, that shit ain't going to fucking work. So if he's more fucking aggressive, he's going to get flatlined. When Boots gets exposed, that'll be 0-2, Sean. Will be the hype your fighters. You're going to be like Eddie Hearn on YouTube Boxing Channel, Sean. It's funny that you say that. Yet, ironically enough, what was my prediction leading into the fight with Boatsi? And the funny thing is, you don't even know who Boatsi is, but you just hate on Jared, so you fucking pick anyone to beat him. But I said that Boatsi easily could potentially knock him out. I called it. I was not surprised at all. Yo, Sean, are the Taiwanese chicks into foreigners? Not as much as they once were, but generally, yes. Anything that's different is exotic, right? So you can still change your mind, okay? Don't buy the hype. Dress up like Funduro, act like you are KO'd, and call it an early night. Any hot female Taiwanese teachers? Oh, several. Same. I got, but it's you can't really piss where you eat, right? Same. I got Beterbiev by KO in the rematch as well. Devin Haney posted, he ruined Progress guy, has no shame. Of course he's going to say that, right? I mean, so then fucking Josh Taylor could have said that after the after the Devin Haney victory, right? Like these dudes are fucking capping like crazy. Like Devin Haney should just get his fucking miserable ass back in the ring and try to fucking build up his fucking self confidence after getting manhandled and beaten fucking from pillar to post against Ryan Garcia. Because if he steps back into the ring with Ryan without getting a fucking tune-up fight, I predict he's going to get fucking KO'd in the rematch. Yo, Sean, why is Tank saying Better BF his ass? He seems like a hater to me. He's saying that because Better BF's trainer was asked a question. And he said, is Tank Davis a Hall of Famer? And he said, no. He wasn't hating on Tank Davis, but the only people right now that think Tank Davis is a Hall of Famer is Knockout Boxing and a bunch of Tank Davis fucking fanboys. How can you be a Hall of Famer when you've never done anything Hall of Fame worthy? Literally, up until 2 fights ago, people said that he was being protected by Floyd Mayweather. So if he was protected by Floyd Mayweather his whole fucking career before fighting Frank Martin and now Lamont Roach, how's he a Hall of Famer based on those 2 fights? One guy pulling up in weight, another guy who never beat a top 10 lightweight. But now he's a Hall of Famer based on that. Oh, okay. Congrats. Remember, Boots' defense is horrible. Is Haney with Freddie Roach now? I don't think so. Blair Cobb be a good fight for Devin. Actually, I saw some speculation that Cobb and Devin Haney potentially could be a fight. And I think that would be a fucking smart fight for Devin Haney. Blair Cobb would sell that fight because he's like Rolly Romero. Fucking big mouth that nobody likes, right? A more obnoxious fucking Keith Thurman. You could fight that fucking douchebag and you know, get some good numbers and good attention based on fighting Blair Cobb. And he doesn't have a great chin. He's not a hard puncher, right? He's not big and bigger than you. So it's a fight you could easily win to build back your confidence. A Reggie Belt Hall of Famer, exactly. Zaki the Russian is like Dragon. He stops Bud. The Russian stops Bud. Drago. I don't fucking think that's happening. I don't think they fight, but I definitely pick Bud to beat fucking Murdzaliev because he's just too fucking limited. Cobb hasn't stopped anybody since 2021, and he is coming off of 2 wins. Cobb and Bill Haney at a press conference will be entertaining. Thurman has become the new Andre Ward. Why is he the new Andre Ward? Yeah, I would look forward to the Haney-Blair Cobb fight. I think it makes sense, right? Haney's coming off of a very potentially detrimental fight against Ryan Garcia. He needs to get back in the ring just for his own fucking sanity and just get off fucking social media and stay in the gym. Beat Blair Cobb, and then the fight between him and Ryan Garcia is going to be more fucking lucrative because now people are going to be like, oh, yeah, see what he did to Cobb? He looked good, right? Janibek would stop and destroy Bud, though, Sean. Bud's max weight is 154. He's not beating anyone above 154. I kind of agree with you. Thurman, all talk. That's true. Ryan versus T.O. is better. Well, let's be honest. It's better, but it's not bigger. The fight that's going to sell is Haney-Ryan Garcia 2. Ryan versus Rowley, comeback fight, and then Haney. That, again, makes tons of sense for Ryan Garcia, right? You come off of more than a year out of the ring. You come back, fight Rolly Romero. It's almost the equivalent of Devin Haney fighting Blair Cobb. Big mouth, nobody likes. People will be happy to see Ryan Garcia knock his ass out. And for Rolly, he gets some of that money that he gave up to be fucking beat by fucking Cruz. And then, obviously, you know, then you can make that fight. It's sad to say the fighter versus the other fighter's father would be entertaining. It's sad as fuck. Well, it's unfortunate that a lot of boxers today, their fathers do most of their speaking, which is cringe, but it is what it is. And in some cases, it's better because do you really want to hear Devin Haney fucking talk? Because whenever he opens his mouth, he says something stupid. So you might as well have his dad say something stupid. At least it kind of distanced it from the fighter, right? Tio could also learn from that as well, right? That's why Garcia was smart. I see Ryan in the gym while Haney's talking online and pressing charges. Well, to be fair, Haney's also in the gym. There's social media posts about him hitting the bags and whatnot. So, you know, they're both doing some stuff. The question is, are they doing enough? Brian Norman Sr. is the worst. Oh, well. You know, he's the epitome of new money, right? New money. New money talks too much, fucking wants to get attention, wants to show off its swag. Who do you have on the Usyk Fury rematch? I'm leaning towards Fury with the victory. Uh, when Fury was at his peak during that fight, I was super impressed. The way he was putting his hands together, right, and piecing up Usyk. I'd never seen anyone do that as convincingly as Fury did. If he comes in better shape, able to let his hands go more and do more of that, I think potentially he could stop Usyk in the rematch. But that's a big ask. But nonetheless, it's possible. I wouldn't be 100% shocked if it happened. But to be fair, I mean, I prefer if Usyk wins at this time. Obviously, if AJ would have beat Dubois, then I really would have wanted Fury to win. So we could have got AJ Fury, which would have been huge. But because AJ lost, I mean, so now I prefer if Usyk wins because, if Usyk wins, the haters aren't going to be able to hate. But if he loses, a lot of the people fucking capping for fucking Tank are just going to use that as a way to shit on Usyk. See, he's not pound for pound number one over Bud Crawford. That's going to happen because it's not going to take long for somebody to try to find a way to use this to hype up a fighter they support, which is the whole point of today's video, right? Use fucking these non-black fighters as a way to fucking build up black American fighters, as opposed to just wanting black American fighters to do what we want everyone to do. Fucking fight. Dubois beat Usyk. No, he didn't. But there you go. Here's the perfect example you need right now. Will you do a live for Paul versus Tyson? The undercard better than most PBC fights. The truth is, it's Friday night, so I probably will do a live. It's also on Netflix, so super easy. I can watch it on my TV. Fuck. I hope Netflix starts doing more boxing, especially if this is successful. Also, Amazing's in the house. Sean, is Wilder really going for a title shot at Bridgerweight? He should. I don't know who the fuck's he going to fight at Bridgerweight, but why not? Why doesn't Tank face Lucas Badi? Because nobody in fucking boxing knows who Lucas Badi is. That body punch was legitimate. Dropped Usyk. You say it was legitimate. The ref said it was illegitimate. You watch the replay, you could totally see it hit him low. Another fight I want to see is Bakoli versus Zhang. Apparently, Zhang is ducking Bakoli. So now the talk is Bakoli is going to be fighting who? I saw it. Who are they saying Bakoli is going to fight? I can't remember. But it ain't fucking Zhang because apparently he's ducking that fight. Jackie, now you're asking real questions and so many options. Well, see, it's much nicer when we just talk about boxing. See, Mayton, how's it cap when literally that's what happened? Literally, that's what happened. The ref literally said it was a low blow. Literally, when I watched the fucking replay, I thought he hit him low. It was this low below the belt. Belly button is here, so it was fucking quite a bit below the belly button. You wear a cup. You hit up, it pulls the cup up into your Johnson and your balls, right? That's why he doesn't need to hit you in the cock. That's not what a low blow is. A low blow is a fucking low blow below your belly button. Anything below your belly button is called low. If you don't like it, change the rules. Who will win the election? Trump. Bakoli's uppercut punch is very similar to George Foreman. Nope. Good comeback. Good comeback, Potsy. The great Salvador Sanchez faced 3 or 4 Hall of Famers before the age of 23, so no doubt it's him. I mean, who else has done that since then? I don't think anybody has. Really? I got Canelo as the best Mexican boxer ever. He's definitely in the conversation. I don't think you can say Salvador Sanchez because literally he fucking never fought past 23. Usyk trunks were up to his sternum. That ain't true. I mean, Fury's are. Fury pulls his fucking trunks up to his chest. I think Oscar is better than Canelo, but Oscar is American, not Mexican. So there you go. Salvador Sanchez would have been a GOAT if he had a longer career, but for sure the best at 126 of all time. Well, to be fair, he could have been exposed. He could have been beat. A lot of things could have happened, right? That's why people don't put you in these conversations when your career was so short, because nobody knows what could have, would have, should have. If Roy Jones would have retired after becoming the heavyweight champion, he would easily be considered fucking the GOAT. And if he wouldn't have got screwed on that fucking late punch knockout, fucking, which ended up being a loss instead of what it should have been, which was a no contest, he would have retired undefeated as well. And then we wouldn't even have this conversation regarding Floyd Mayweather. I thought Dubois' shot could count. I watched Spence hit Ugas in the quads, whose punches were so low. Each ref is different, I guess, on calling it. Yeah, but punching a guy in his quads or his hips are illegal blows. They are illegal. There aren't no comparisons. Davis is way better than Golovkin's career. Darius, it's nice that you jumped in. Now, tell me why Tank Davis' career is better. What has Tank Davis done? He's never unified titles. He's really a one-weight world champion. He was just elevated in his second division. Never beat anyone. Hasn't beat a world champion at 135. Hasn't beat a champion at 140. Beat 2 champions in his whole career at 130. Pedraza and Leo Santa Cruz. That's how he won his titles, beating 2 champions. So what has he done more than Golovkin? Salvador is the most talented Mexican ever that I saw, but career-wise, I'd go Chavez. But Chavez fucking career, he got a lot of bums on that fucking resume, and then he fucking had some losses that weren't counted. Kovalev versus Ward. Kovalev totally won that fight. The second fight, some of those were low blows. Mexican boxing, Oscar is both a Mexican national as well. Oscar is fucking American. He's a fucking gold medal winning Olympian. He ain't fucking Mexican. So he doesn't count in a conversation for best Mexicans of all time. It's disrespectful to Mexican boxers to put Oscar into that conversation. Tank never fought a pound-for-pound fighter, let alone unified. GGG has. That's a fact. Hasn't fought any pound-for-pound quality fighters, never unified, ever. So what has he done? Moten, yeah, it's like with excessive clinching. I've seen refs call it, but most times nothing. Not unless you're fighting, depending on who you fight and what ref they pull in. Please tell me what Mexican legend Golovkin stopped. Davis stopped Santa Cruz. So Davis stopping fucking Santa Cruz, a guy who hadn't done shit at 130 pounds, somehow is legendary. Now, Darius, if you weren't a fanboy and you were a boxing fan, what you would say is that fight shouldn't have happened. They only used Leo Santa Cruz to allow Tank Davis to do his first pay-per-view. The guy that Tank Santa Cruz should have fought should have been Gary Russell for unification at 126. But, of course, that's not what Al Heyman wanted. So that fight never happened, much to the chagrin of Gary Russell. And, of course, then they used Leo Santa Cruz to sell a pay-per-view for Tank Davis so he could become a pay-per-view star. Pedraza was on vacation and stated that he was there was a rehydration clause in an interview. Of course there's a rehydration clause, fucking 100%. No surprise there at all. Yeah, he was going to face Arguello next. That would have been GOAT status. At that point, he had a fighter of the year with Sugar Ray Leonard. Who? Who are you talking about? Uh, and I'll never sold more than 150 Ks on his own. On his own. So what did Tank Davis do on his own? Actually, he sold 500,000 pay-per-view buys in England when he fought Cal Brook. Cal Brook, who'd never done a pay-per-view in England. So you can't say it's because he was a pay-per-view star in England. And then he did 3 million pay-per-views against Canelo Alvarez. Three. But you're going to use pay-per-views to talk about greatness. So pay-per-views mean you're great. So that means fucking who's fighting Mike Tyson? That means he's greater than fucking Tank Davis because he has more successful pay-per-views than Tank Davis has. And he ain't even a legitimate boxer. But you want to use pay-per-views as a level to measure critics' praise as the great? Okay. So fucking Jake Paul is better than Tank Davis, according to your thinking. You watch pro box fights on Wednesday. Those refs are quick as fuck to start giving warnings for holding. Darius, you're biased, bro. Of course he is. Lil G couldn't get through Bamelo. Yet Bamelo is 10 times better than any fighter Tank Davis has ever fought. And fucking way better than Tank Davis. A legitimate face of boxing who's done huge pay-per-views, which fucking belittled Tank Davis's one fight that he had with Ryan Garcia. Thanks very much, Ryan Garcia, for selling the pay-per-view. What's a Mexican? Well, you know, Darius, he dropped out of school after grade 6. So, you know, give him a pass. He only talks in Ebonics. So, you know, let's cut him some slack. On Wikipedia, I don't care what Wikipedia says, my man. Oscar is not Mexican. Salvador Sanchez, Sean. He shared it with Sugar Ray Leonard. I thought you said he was going to fight Leonard. I'm like, what? What? I would have loved to see him fight Alexis Arguello. That potentially would have been the fight he lost. Alexis Arguello was a tall, long fighter and obviously naturally bigger as well. We all know those buys were from Cal Brook, not Lil G. We do? No, because the only reason that fight was on pay-per-view and happened in the O2 Arena is because G went to fucking the UK. Not because Cal Brook. Because no fight Cal Brook had before that sold that or was pay-per-view in the UK. So please stop the cap. GG is 10 times better than any opponent Tank Davis has ever fought. Facts. Always bring up pay-per-view sales to hype up. Well, that's the thing, right? Pay-per-view sales have nothing to do with fucking greatness. Literally nothing. Nothing. I mean, if you're going to use pay-per-view sales as a measure of greatness, then Jake Paul is better than fucking Tank Davis. Easy. You don't even know how to spell Brook. Brook. You just said Bamelo is better than Tank. Last time I checked, Tank ain't ever lost. See, Darius, you're stupid. It's okay. You fucking want to fuck Tank Davis or you want to give him blowjobs. That's cool. I mean, you know, we live in a woke world, so gay guys like you can fantasize after fucking dudes like Tank Davis all you want. No worries. But we're talking boxing here, little boy. So maybe you should fucking get up to speed on the conversation. Tank Davis has never unified any fucking fight, any division in his career. The best fight you said he fought was Leo Santa Cruz. But yet, Canelo fought fucking Hall of Famers. Darius, a man fan, not a boxing fan. Jake Paul greater than Tank Davis, man. Yeah, greater. Way more pay-per-view success. Jake Paul, face of boxing in America. That's fucking more fucking factual than Tank Davis. Darius, go back to H Money. You are a fanboy. Ignore logic. He is probably an H Money fanboy, that's for sure. Crawling over here, scurrying from under his bed, crawling over the old pizza boxes in his mother's bedroom. Mayton, I did not watch this week, but Pro Box doesn't like back footing with those little rings, so I believe it. Darius getting cooked. When was the last time Canelo got a KO? So now KOs are the measurement of greatness. Okay, so then Better Biev is better than Tank Davis, right? According to your logic, Better Biev is better than Tank Davis. So Better Biev should be the face of American boxing, and he should be the man you should be fanboying right now, right? Pro box format is action, action, and more action. Imagine Shakur fighting on pro box. David KO's small fighters. Davis. Davis is a great fighter. I ain't hating on Tank Davis. But the ignorance of fans like Darius, that's what pulls people to pointing out the negativities, the double standards, and the criticisms, right? Because the same way they man defend everything Tank Davis has done, they use to criticize every other fighter. Better be at 98% KO ratio, man. If Canelo brought people up in weight, he'd get more KOs too. Nah, Better BF didn't get a KO his last fight. Davis did, though. See, you're stupid. Stupid. Yet he fought Frank Martin, who never fought a fucking world champion and never fought a fucking top 10 lightweight. Better BF fought a guy that beat Canelo Alvarez, a pound for pound top 10 fighter, number one when he beat him, and was a world champion who was fighting a unified champion. Darius, why couldn't Davis KO Pitbull Cruz? I know. I mean, Pitbull Cruz, what a monster that guy is. He was a fucking unknown fighter that already got beat. Just because you put bum in front of a name just shows that, you can't really converse about boxing. So you act like a child. My dad's bigger than your dad. My dad's richer than your dad. My dad would beat up your dad. That's you, Darius. But the sad truth is you don't even have a dad. So, I mean, that conversation fucking is stupid to begin with. You should just stay off that conversation because you don't have a dad. So having this my dad is bigger conversation is probably something that you can't relate to, right? 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 We know. Come on, Darius. We know. You're trying to hype dudes up to try to make a name for themselves for being exciting. Stanky couldn't knock out Umpo Lumpo Isaac Cruz. Better be a fought a pound for pound fighter. This Darius dude, hella insecure, hating on all the non-black fighters. But he just proving the whole point of my video today. Dudes like Darius are the cancer to boxing because literally they'll say fucking anything to try to fanboy a black American fighter. Yet then they will fucking reverse this narrative to shit on everyone that's not black. Davis broke his hand and still won. That's being built different. Lomachenko did that too. Did you say Lomachenko was built different when he did that? Of course you didn't. I mean, Inouye had a broken eye socket against Donaire. And he went on and rightfully stopped Donaire in that fight, but the ref gave him a fucking long count. So is he built different too? Of course they're not built different. They're not black like you. They got fathers, unlike you, Loma Dunko. The funny thing is, Tank Davis, the guy you like, blatantly ducked Lomachenko for 7 fucking years. 7 years, man. That's sick. Sad. And we know why Loma didn't fight Tank. Tank priced himself out, just like he did in the fight now. 2 fights that were offered to him, 2 fights Tank Davis fucking priced himself out because now he's feeling himself. Now he's a diva, right? He fought Ryan Garcia, got paid fucking life-changing money. Thank you, Ryan Garcia. And now he thinks he's going to get that much money fucking all the time. But he ain't because he don't sell. He ain't the face of boxing. You can't make big pay-per-views if you're fighting bum-ass opponents nobody cares about. That's the problem. That's what people are pointing out. Tank ducked Loma since 2016. Do you agree with Tank when he says Shakur's defense is trash? He says he doesn't stand in the pocket, slipping and catching punches, just jumps back. I think he has a point. Well, then Tank Davis should shut up and fight him. Tank Davis could have offered him the bag, right, when he was a free agent, and could have been fighting Shakur Stevens for unification, 2 pound-for-pound fighters, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. We'd be literally talking about Tank Davis doing great shit by fucking making the fight with Shakur, forcing Shakur to fucking sign the contract, and now unifying, right? And literally our whole fucking energy towards Tank Davis would be fucking 180 degrees. Literally. We'd be praising Tank Davis like fucking crazy. But unfortunately, he didn't do that. Yep, Murtazaliev's knuckle was broken going into the Tim Tszyu fight. He still knocked him out. Tank priced himself out for the Loma fight. He did. And apparently fucking the Lamont Roach fight. Tank finally managed to put on his big boy pants after 7 years and call out Loma. Darius, you really believe your stuff, right? He don't believe shit. Gervonta Tank Davis confirms he had an injured left hand before the fight with Isaac Cruz. And the face of boxing can't price himself out. Loma is being slept. Yeah, okay. Even though Lomachenko has fought elite fighters in his career, something Tank Davis hasn't done. Unified titles, something Tank Davis hasn't done. Won champions in 3 weight divisions. Didn't cry and say, oh, I'm too small to fight at 135. I'm going to stay at 130. No. He went to 135 because Tank Davis was a bitch who didn't want to fight him, so he moved up for real challenges. Something Tank Davis still hasn't done. Tank don't have the bag, may not even have a fight. Tank is somebody who's in the ring, is one of my favorite, but his moves up to this point outside the ring blow. I agree, Zaki. I agree completely. Like I said, if he would have made that fight with Shakur, I would be fucking hyping Tank Davis up like crazy. Facts. He didn't, Ice didn't know that, so I'm more impressed. Excuses because he couldn't get a KO. Pitbull Cruz ate Tank's punches like they were nothing. It just is what it is. He still had one hand. That wasn't broken. Murtazaliev, Tim Tszyu, two bums. Of course they're bums because they ain't black like you, right, Darius? They got fathers, so they're bums. Man, the jealousy is real. Why did Tank try to weight drain El Rayo and bring him down to 135? Because that's what he does. Darius, tell Tank to face Jack. What elite fighter Loma fight? You're too stupid to even fucking respond to. I'm just proving to Tank fans that his hand didn't get hurt versus Pitbull. It's all fake. So, Mayton, you're a fucking Devin Haney fan. Okay. What's crazy, Sean, is you have Tank 7th or 8th pound for pound. I have him 10th. Yeah, because I fucking like Tank, regardless of fucking how much of a racist I am. Salido, a guy with 8 losses, beat your boy in his second world title fight. And that fight was a robbery. Lomachenko should have won. Salido should have had points taken away. Lomachenko almost knocked him out in the 12th round. But you wouldn't say that because your fighters that you support ain't shit. So you're going to fucking do what? Shit on a non-black fighter like Loma and somebody else, Canelo. Because that's all you can do is deflect. Your fighters are so useless at this point. The only thing you can do is try to put shit on other fighters to try to hype up yours. That's sad, right? You don't even know who Jack is because you don't know shit about boxing. Rick Glazer tweeted prayers for Al Heyman. Things just getting worse for the PBC. If Al Heyman dies, that would be fucking the end of the PBC. That's for sure. And that would be sad. I don't wish fucking that on Al or anything else. Do you really think all the African-American community has no fathers? No, of course not. What are you talking about? I'm talking about Darius. Of course, tons of Black Americans have fathers in their lives. But percentage-wise, we know that fathers out of the family is huge in the Black community. And you can blame the government for that because of things they've done. Like my sister, this is Canada. She's not Black, she's white. But in Canada, if you're an unwed woman with a child, you get not great benefits, but very good benefits from the government, right? Especially if you don't live in an expensive city. You can easily get a house, food, everything you need to raise your children by yourself as a single parent. This is because that's what the government pushed, to rip the family apart. Why wouldn't you want the father in the family? and still fucking give them money, he can get a job. But does this mean now the woman deserves no money? Right? So these kind of plans obviously are, set up in both governments, Canada and the States. But in America, it really impacts the black community. Ask the black community. Uh, Nicholas Walters considered elite when Loma made him quit. Same Rigo laugh out loud. Yeah, except after he beat them, then they fucking were hype jobs and not that good, right? They weren't that good. They weren't that good. Molten around 9 is when I noticed something was clearly wrong with Tank's hand. You go watch the 11th and 12th rounds. It's all right hand. Excuses. What's excuses? Everything you're saying regarding Tank Davis? That's a fact. Tank puts a lot of weight stipulations on people as well. I believe that helps him with his KOs, but nobody calls Tank out on his bullshit. No, they're too busy calling out Canelo Alvarez and trying to deflect. Why would he purposely compromise himself? Davis ain't ever lost to a guy with 8 losses. And? See, only a stupid motherfucker would say a statement like that because he doesn't know shit about boxing. And the fact that you want to hype up Leo Santa Cruz because he was a 4-weight world champion. Salido was a 3-weight world champion. So just most of them are in jail. Yes. Tim Zhu, Xander, who you got? At this point, I got to pick Xander. Tank never fought a guy like Salido, Darius. Well, you could say that maybe Cruz is kind of similar, but Cruz didn't foul him all night, didn't come in fucking overweight, didn't try to fucking do what he could have done. Yeah, he didn't fight guys with 8 losses. No, he didn't fight good fighters. He fought a bunch of bums. Salido had more losses than Loma had fights. Once again, Darius, you shitting on Lomachenko doesn't elevate Tank Davis. Do you understand that? Do you understand that by deflecting towards a non-black fighter, it don't make your black fighter's career better, right? You get that, right? And if now you say, oh, Floyd Mayweather, that don't make your fighter better because Floyd Mayweather did something. Floyd did that. Tank didn't, right? I know this is hard for you to comprehend, but I can break it down for you. See, Walters, the Jamaican bum. You weren't calling him a Jamaican bum when he fucking destroyed fucking Donaire. But you probably weren't watching boxing that long. He fights no risks, just smaller fighters from 130, Roach Garcia, or weight drain guys from up above. He drains guys like Ryan and Mario. I still have Cruz winning 7-5. What people face of American boxing agrees Jake Paul that Pitbull won the fight. Cruz took a dive. He literally named his son after Al Heyman. The wrench is on fire. What are you saying, Machado? You want a wrench? Santa Cruz, Davis, way better than Loma. Really? Based on your feelings? The fact that you want to blow him? Okay. So I get it. You're more sexually attracted to Tank Davis than you are Vasily Lomachenko. Okay. But we're talking boxing here, buddy. So take your dick out of your hand and focus on sports. Isn't Spence part Jamaican? Isn't he a bum? You should get 1 child minimum if you need the state to help you, then get no help with a second child. Sorry, stop bringing kids in the world that you can't afford. Well, to be fair, Zaki, we need fucking Americans and Canadians and Europeans to have kids. Otherwise, what's happening is your government is overflooding your countries, Europe and North America, with fucking third world fucking migrants who are going to have fucking 8 to 10 kids, right? And the government, for some reason, has no qualms giving immigrants lots of money. In Canada, it happens too. As an immigrant moving to Canada, you get more benefits than you do as a Canadian. That shit don't make sense. As an immigrant to a country, you should fucking come to the country financially stable, with an education, right? And willing to contribute to the community and the society that you're moving to. Not fucking immigrants, refugees. Why do we need fucking 1 million refugees flooding the country? You don't. That's what China did to Tibet, so they could overwhelm the population, overgrow them with Chinese people, and then vote out all of Tibet fucking rules and govern and basically make it part of China, right? It's the same thing white people did in fucking North America to get rid of the Aboriginals, right? You fucking overwhelm them with population. And so now that's what the governments are doing to get rid of native North Americans and native Europeans. How do you see Bam versus Ken Taraji? Well, that fight ain't going to happen. Bam just moved to 115. Ken Taraji just moved to 112. I don't see that fight ever happening, but it'd be a good fight. But I think Bam beats him. Bam is physically bigger, harder puncher, and more dynamic. Darius feels hurt. He loves him. Some Tank Davis. Yes, he does. See, all Darius says is fucking expose themselves as a guy that just makes everything about race. Look at these racist fans hating on a KO artist, Tank Davis. See, all about race because Darius wants to blow fucking Tank Davis. That's going to be the title of my video. Darius wants to blow Tank Davis. Darius in his feelings because he feels like we disrespecting his boyfriend Tank. And really the only one disrespecting people is Darius, calling people bums, 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 bums. I haven't heard one person call Tank Davis a bum in this whole video today. Not one. Come on, Kenshiro losses to his mandatory Francisco Rodriguez Jr. No, he ain't. You're fucking crazy. I understand why you're pushing that pro-Mexican bullshit, but fucking Francisco Rodriguez Jr. ain't beating Kenshiro. But he's a tough opponent. Tank, the face of boxing. Tank, the face of Darius fucking walls. He got fucking Tank Davis posters all over his walls, right, Lily? Look at Lily. Even Lily ain't impressed. She's like, what a fucking fanboy. Fact, Sean. Darius disrespectful. You got robbed versus Ioka. Watch the fight, Sean. Yeah, I know he fought well against Ioka. He also fought well against Junto Nakatani. He also fought well against Roman Gonzalez. He's a good fighter. No one's hating on Tank. He's an exciting fighter. He just ain't pound for pound, in my opinion. He totally pound for pound, but he ain't the face of boxing. And just because you want to fucking make us pay $90 for some high-how fucking opponent, don't mean we fucking like it. Tank, the face of domestic violence. That's true. That's true. Playing devil's advocate, Leo beat Frampton and Abner at 126, so he moved up to 130, just like though lots of great boxers have. When we do glorify and disrespect wins, when guys move up. Zaki, let's keep this in context. He wasn't going to move up. He was going to fight fucking Gary Antoine Russell for unification. But they knew what they were going to do. They moved him up. Tank Davis fucking dropped his titles, jumped up in weight, so now the title was vacant. They put him in with a fighter who wasn't even a top 15 WB opponent, so he could get an exciting victory so they could hype up Tank Davis's first pay-per-view. It's kind of like when they pulled up fucking Mikey Garcia, a 4-weight world champion, brought him up fucking 2 weight divisions from 135, where he just beat fucking Easter, right? Brought him up to 147 so they could have Errol Spence do his first pay-per-view. Literally, Al Heyman used these Mexican fighters to sell these black Americans to the American market, right? Because he knew they needed to fucking pull in the black and Mexican market to make these fights successful. So what did they do? They pulled up smaller fighters that were never going to beat these bigger fighters in their weight division. So let's just keep it 100. We know exactly what was going on. Lily said, wake her up when Tank fights a great fighter. Oh, shit. I'm never going to wake you up. After Nui beats Goodman, is Nui fighting Nakatani next 100%? No. He's supposed to fight on a card in Vegas with Junto on the undercard, right? The Junto fight versus Inui is not going to be in the States. It's going to be in Japan. But they're probably going to fight the two of them on a matchup in Vegas to build up the fight. And then later on in 2025, they will fight. You can answer your own question by saying, where do you hold Canelo? Bridger weight should be 175, 200, maybe 190. 25 pounds is too big of a jump. Well, the problem is boxing fucks shit up when they move cruiserweight from 190 to 200. They should leave cruiserweight at 190. And then Bridger weight should have been from, say, 190 to 205 cruiserweight, 205 to 220, right? Bridger weight. And then anything above 220 is heavyweight, right? And of course you could fight at heavyweight if you're like 200 whatever, but the reality is they don't need fucking the Bridgerweight title. At 112, Kenshiro was food for Angel Ayala and Francisco Jr. Kenshiro ain't no good. Well, yeah, okay, we'll see. Yeah, Tank is good, an exciting fighter, but who he hang with, his clothing is questionable. The new Junto fight will probably be December 2025. Exactly. Darius is a donkey of the day. Laugh out loud. Exactly. Donkey of the day, Darius. Sean, if Canelo decides to fight Better BF for Undisputed, do you think he can beat Better BF? As a Canelo fan, I think Better BF would be the only man that could hurt and stop Canelo. I see some people capping that Canelo can beat him. I think Mikey Garcia's brother was saying something, and some other people. I mean, it's fine if you want to say that. It's only going to hype up the fight and make it bigger. But don't be surprised if fucking Better BF beats up and stops Canelo Alvarez late in the fight. Matin, that's what great makes Canelo great, coming from 140 to 175, accomplishing all he has. Exactly. Just so you will know more Mexican fighters at 118 and 115, and they will beat these protected Japanese fighters. That jet lag was real. Oh, fuck. Ain't no one care about a fight in Japan if Inui wants to be. See, Darius, no fucking buddy cares about Americans. Inui is already a star. He's making more money than fucking every single fucking American boxer you support. So why would he fucking worry about the US? Fuck the US. He's making so much money. He just had fucking a meeting with Turkey Al Sheikh. So Turkey is saying, come to Saudi Arabia. I'll offer you tens of millions of dollars, big money, right? So why does he need to go to the States to fight in front of a bunch of hating motherfuckers like you? No matter what he did in the States, hating motherfuckers like you are going to do what you do. Hate. You're never going to give him respect because he ain't black. He got a daddy. Actually, his daddy's training him. And I know that hurts you emotionally, right? Right there, right? So, of course, who cares what you got to say? Because you ain't a boxing fan. You're a fucking fan boy, the epitome of a fanboy. When we look in fucking Webster's dictionary, Darius's face pops up. Fanboy. So expect Mexicans to spend more time in the country. Oh, come on, you fucking talking crazy too. You have to hurt Better BF to beat him. Shame, he's almost 40. Why are you pushing for Canelo to fight at 175? Nobody's pushing for it. But he talked about potentially trying to become something that Inui, Crawford, and Usyk did, a two-weight undisputed champion. Ken Byrne Torres is already number one mandatory for the WBO at 118. I bring facts. Okay. And you can't tell me one fighter he beat. Inui cashing checks of 10 million plus. Meanwhile, Shakur and Tank fight for breadcrumbs. Haney getting purse bids for 2 million. Dollar bills, y'all. Yeah, dollar bills are everywhere, I know you're too stupid to understand that. I live in Taiwan, right? More fucking people driving fucking Lexuses here and fucking what's Elon Musk's car here than fucking where you're from, Darius. There's big money in Asia. Maybe you're too stupid to fucking get that. Sorry, I know you're too stupid to get that. That's what happens when you got no education. Ain't no Inui like 105 pounds. Tank fans blaming his first fight being postponed because Inui hasn't moved up to 130. David Cuellar is number one for the WBC at 118 as well. Tank turned down a chance to fight for Turkey, but he thought he might get a legit opponent. Exactly. And Francisco Rodriguez Jr., number one mandatory for Kinshiro at 112. I don't know, he's a mandatory at 112 when he was literally just fighting fights at 115. And the best one, Salas Reyes. This kid is special. Sparred with Naoya Inoue, the monster at 118. Mandatory, one for the IBF. What about Benavidez versus Beterbiev? I also think Beterbiev destroys Benavidez. We know that Benavidez ain't fucking built like that. He's going to fucking continue to do what he's done. We just had a response earlier because apparently Ring IQ posted something saying that he knows somebody in the inside that the PBC is going to sign Canelo to a 2-fight contract. And what exactly is going to happen is he's going to fight Charlo, the 160-pound Charlo, and then he's going to fight David Benavidez. And that would make 100% fucking sense. We know they don't want to work with Turki Al-Sheikh. We know they want to keep it in-house PBC. So don't be surprised if that's exactly what happens. And Canelo goes on to face Charlo and then David Benavidez, which are both great fights. But the irony is when he beats those two fighters, don't be surprised when people still give him no respect, right? Oh, he weight trained David Benavidez. Oh, Charlo is a mental case. Okay. Now you're talking the face of boxing. Benavidez made easy work okay. Mexican and Sean going to be at war when Francisco and Kinshiro fight. No, not at all. I just think a guy who is just capping for Mexican fighters might want to give some respect to somebody who's literally done what he should do. Francisco Rodriguez Jr. is a good fighter. I've praised him countless times. There he is, 39-6-1, only stopped once. Once. And who stopped him? Who stopped him? Oh, there he is, Roman Gonzalez. So I like when he does well. Whenever he does well, it fucking helps me when I praise Roman Gonzalez for being a fucking historical great and a guy with a better fucking resume and better career than Andre Ward, and a guy who did more in his era than Andre Ward did because of fighting guys like this, Francisco Rodriguez Jr. So if he goes on to beat fucking Kenshiro, I ain't going to be upset. But, you know, this division is not bad. Shiro, Akui, Sonny Edwards, Anthony Olagusho, right? Good fighters. Obviously, Felix Alvarado is old and past his best. You know, you got Rodriguez. Who's some of the guys he's talking about? You also got Kayaguchi and Yafai, who is going to be fighting Sonny Edwards, right? That's a big fight. Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai, right? Who, you know, but he's pushing Mexican fighters. So who is he pushing? Here, Angel Ayala. Angel Ayala is 24 years old, 18-0 with 8 KOs, coming off of a guy versus David Apollinario. Good win, 20-0, just beat Felix Alvarado, solid win. And then after that, you know, Christopher Rosales he beat. So there's 3 quality wins, right? You know, you got to give this guy some praise as a quality opponent. Would he beat Kenshiro? I don't think so. But we will see, right? We will see. Nah, I'm always right. Easy work. Jermell Charlo whoops him. Yeah, okay. I brought facts. He just say capping. So it's all good, Mars. Was right about Jared thing. I always said Richard Torres stops him. So it aged well and history repeat itself. But Richard Torres didn't fucking beat Jared Anderson. So how did that age well? Torres had nothing to do with Jared Anderson being beaten. But Coley will also beat Richard fucking Torres Jr. Charlo, he got smacked around by Plant. He did. How embarrassing is that, Darius, that a fighter you capped for got smacked like a bitch and fucking didn't do anything? Is that representing the culture? Right? So that's this kid. Looks good. Looks good. I can't say I've seen him fight, but I have seen some of his opponents. This guy, Sergio Mendoza, 24 years old as well. Oh, some power. 24 wins, 21 KOs. Obviously, he has not fought the same level of opponents, right? And you can see right there. Obviously, we see why he's not ranked as high as Ayala, because he hasn't fought close to the level of opponents. The one guy he beat, Angel Serrano, 32-1. Who's this guy? Domestic Mexican fighter. Yeah, domestic Mexican fighter. So not necessarily a great opponent. So that's why he's got great knockout pedigree. Obviously, we know Rodriguez, quality fighter. Then who? This kid, 26. No face up there. 8 KOs. Hasn't faced anybody yet. Okay. So the one guy, I give you praise. He looks good. And he's got some good wins on his resume. So I look forward to seeing Ayala get in the ring with one of the other fighters. Now you're capping big time for Japanese boxing if you say Kenshiro beats Mendoza. Mendoza never fought anybody, man. Come on. Mendoza never fought anyone. You want to bet? I got 500. He beats Kenshiro. Okay. Look at the Darius being racist after saying people in here are racist. Bet he cries to YouTube if someone does the same. What did he say? Caleb Plant reps the culture well. You need a white boy to represent your culture. That's sad. So that's how it starts. Huh? Because Torres beat Jared in the past. I already told you this. Which has nothing to do with fucking anything. You're giving a fighter praise for not doing something, right? That's the same as the LDVC. Praising dudes for getting beat by other dudes and saying, see, that guy beat that guy, so you know my guy would beat him. No, we don't know anything like that. Literally, we don't know anything like that. If you want your fighter to get praise, fucking do something. Beat someone. How am I a racist? I eat ramen all the time. Well, that statement is ignorant. I won't say racist. Calling Asian egg rolls. Did he say that? Well, Darius is obviously ignorant. Ignorant. Plant ain't white. The only white about his is his skin. It's funny, right? How guys like Darius disrespect their own people because they're too educated and well spoken. And of course, now you're relating to a white guy who fucking uses, you know, ebonics to talk, and obviously got a little bit of fucking influence from black culture because of the community he grew up in. I was the same when I was in high school. So does that mean I got more black in me than you do, Darius? I probably had sex with more black girls than Darius had. I can fucking tell you that. Darius probably don't like that either. But sorry, Darius. I got a dad and I had sex with more black girls than you. Damn, son. That's disappointing, eh? So let's go to these other rankings. Where are they? There we go. Let's check out the rankings so we can see what Mexican is talking about. Because he's showing that he's got some knowledge of the lower weight divisions, and he's truly representing Mexican fighters. So that's good. So let's see where these dudes are ranked. So Francisco Rodriguez Jr., number 1 mandatory for Kenshiro. Sandoval, Yankee Rivera, Cordova. One of these motherfuckers better fight each other to get that fight with Akui. Akui is definitely the weak link at this division. Angel Ayala, he was elevated. I'd say coming off of good wins. And then Anthony just got the win beating Jonathan Gonzalez. So 2 Japanese and 1 Mexican and 1 Mexican-American. Okay. Ebonics is the best language. I stopped counting after 30. Okay, Darius, having sex with fucking your sisters doesn't fucking count. Let's keep that in track, right? Leave Darius alone. Darius eating ramen, but cut with cut up Slim Jims inside. I like Slim Jims. Damn, where's Slim Jims, man? Kenshiro's easy work at 112. You don't sound as confident anymore, Sean, for him. No, I totally sound confident for him. Sergio Mendoza, come on. That dude ain't fucking anywhere. And he getting fucking slept. Where's Mendoza? Nowhere. Where's Mendoza? Mendoza! Hey, Mendoza! Mendoza's not ranked because he hasn't fought anyone yet, right? That's why we got to go down to the bottom. And then maybe we see Mendoza. I still don't see Mendoza. Mendoza is not ranked by any fucking sanctioning body. RG Cortez, you should praise him because RG is a good fighter, ranked fucking by 3 of the sanctions, by all 4 sanction bodies. Ioka, what's Ioka doing there? Oh, sorry, I moved down. Where are we? There we go. Sorry, I was on the wrong page. So where's Mendoza? Mendoza. I still don't see Mendoza anywhere. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because Sonny Edwards is fighting Galiafai. Does that mean the winner is going to fight Anthony Alasakuga? I don't know who Angel Ayala is going to fight because, of course, the IBF rankings are terrible. But maybe he could fight Kayaguchi. We've seen Kayaguchi fight Kenshiro. Kenshiro beat his ass, stopped him in a great unification fight. Yep, Mexican been taking over. I told you, but you don't believe it. Come on, man. I've been praising Mexican boxers for fucking years. What are you talking about? Sugar Nunez 130, Zepeda 135, Raya 140, Carrell and Mario Barros 147. Too much to count. I got to try that I love Slim Jims. Stop spitting facts. Japanese, sure, they have great fighters, but no way they beat those Mexicans we talking about. Nes Mendoza. I got Picasso beating Nakatani at 122. You fucking high. He's ranked top by BoxRec and he's so young, 24. He's impressive as fuck. I knew he needs to come to the US and fight Tank. Yeah, okay, Darius. So Tank going to go up and fight Bud Crawford at 154? Mendoza beats Kenshiro hands down, and you know it, Sean. So stop the cap. But Mendoza ain't even fucking ranked in these rankings. Look, man. No Mendoza. Where's Mendoza? You're hyping up a brother who ain't even ranked by the WBC. Francisco Rodriguez is there, and he might beat him. He's a good fighter. Long, skilled, experienced. But I'm still riding with Kenshiro on that one. Snap into a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah. See, I ain't like Darius. My fighter's actually good. Hey, let's not hate on all Darius fighters. I don't say Black American fighters are not good. Lots of great fighters. The problem is who is doing great things right now in the sport? Not Tank, not Shakur, not Haney, not the Charlos. Crawford, that's one. Then who? Not Oshaki. See, that's how desperate it is. I can't even fucking think of more fighters that are doing great that are Black Americans right now in boxing. Even Mike Tyson fought in the Tokyo Dome. Exactly. That's why it's fucking legendary. And literally, I'm trying to be serious. Like, you guys tell me, what American, Black American specifically, I mean, we know we got some American fighters. Bam Rodriguez is doing great. You know, obviously some other Americans are doing great. But what Black American fighters right now outside of Crawford are doing great? Crawford's a real one, for sure. It's too bad Errol Spence fanboys, PBC fans, are his biggest fucking haters. Black fighters suck anything between 105 to 130. Well, 130, 126, you got some good fighters in and out. 130, you got some good fighters. 160 to 200, you guys got nothing. And Bud couldn't beat get beaten soon at 154 for even less. It's true, Charlo at 160 and potentially 168, but what's he done? Not much recently. Looks like the Eastern Europeans doing real good in the sport, as whole Japan too, and Mexico. Keyshawn Davis, okay, Darius, yeah, Keyshawn, but Keyshawn ain't a world champion yet. But I ride with Keyshawn. But you can't say Keyshawn is killing it in the sport. He's never, sorry, Lily, he's never become a world champion yet. Are you okay? Okay. Never become a world champion yet, right? I think he should be fighting the WBO champion and beat him to become a champion. But I'm not going to hate on him. Him taking on a very tough opponent next. So praise to him. Jaron Ennis, okay, Jaron, yeah. But the problem with Jaron, he never beat anyone. I like Jaron. I've been riding with Jaron Ennis for a long time. But who Jaron Ennis beat? Never fought anyone with the PBC. And right now, Matchroom is struggling to get him big opponents as well. So that dude hasn't fought fucking anyone. This is what we always go through in boxing: Mexicans versus blacks for supremacy. But there's no problem with that. Mexicans and black Americans, great fighters, great history of boxing. Now you throw in Eastern Europeans and Asians, and boxing is becoming fucking global. That's great. I don't understand why people get bent out of shape because it's not dominated by one people anymore. It's boring if one fucking person is dominating the sport. It's far more interesting when it's like it is now. Who's Lily? What are you, blind? Now that's a hype job. That will lose to Madrimov at 154. Ain't no one trying to fight Ennis. Yeah, but because of that, he ain't fucking done anything, right? He's 26 years old, 26 years of age, and hasn't done anything in the sport yet. Do you respect the IBO? No. We don't need another fucking world title. 4 is too much. Fucking throw the IBO out. Not sold on Boots either. Facts, Newton. Boots needs to learn to cut the ring off first. A lot of people have been hating on Boots in this conversation today, which I think is unnecessary, because you're going to fanboy for Virgil Ortiz, a guy that's way fucking easier to get hit in the face than Boots Ennis is. Imagine that. Boots is too easy to get hit, but Virgil Ortiz is even easier to hit. Boycott the IBF. That's it, buddy. I agree with you. Chris Eubank is a 3-time IBO champion. I know. He's worse than fucking Tank Davis. I got Shepard too. Who's Shepard? Shepard. Who's Shepard? I got Karen actually beating Boots in the rematch. Apparently Karen got power since the fight. Man, Karen is going to get slept in the fucking rematch. Blame the cowards who won't fight him. Well, Darius, to be fair, we can't do that, because if we did that, we'd have to fucking praise Golovkin, right? Because of all the cowards that ducked him. But we can't. That would be unfair. How can we praise somebody for fights they didn't make? Darius, tell your boyfriend to fight Jack. Got me there, Sean, with the Ortiz being too able to hit. Tank will lose to Tio. I would love that fight, but I think it's marketable. It sells. But for some reason, Tank Davis did not offer Tio enough money so that Bob Arum fucking was excited to make that fight. Too bad. Well, I'd be happy to see Tank or Bud Crawford fight Tio. Tank, the king of baby belts, should go after the IBO. The irony is, I just saw Punch Drunk today getting in his feelings because some black Americans are throwing death threats at Tio because of his racist rants. And it's like, what do you expect? What do you expect? When you go out fucking calling people racial slurs, you don't think there's going to be people on social media that are going to be offended, especially this day and age? And then Punch Drunk coming out needs to defend him. Why do you need to defend him and act like people being upset is somehow an issue? Of course, people are going to be upset, right? It's one thing when Tank Davis calls himself a gorilla, but when you do it, it's fucking, it's racist. It's like Darius fucking calling Asians fucking egg rolls. It's racist. It's ignorant. And of course, people are going to get upset. Didn't Lopez lose to Cambosis? Yes, he did. Yeah, Darius got Tank and Bud to get Tio back. You should debate Punch Drunk. Punch Drunk, he's easy work because he is so much of a fanboy. He's literally no different than Darius and the LDBC and knockout boxing. He will fucking die on his hill. Boots is all hype. He made his name off of Avil for narrowly beating Speedy Ellis, and he just KO'd his last fight. Tio brought it on himself. He did. He brought it on himself. And that's why I don't even mention Ryan Garcia. Fuck. Why would I mention that fucking dude? And because I don't mention him, I'm a racist because I should be fucking hating on him. I don't mention him. I don't hype him. I'm not trying to fucking sell him, promote him, make money on my channel by fucking capping for him. Nah, I don't care when Tim Zhu said flat-footed Mexican. Well, flat-footed Mexican is not racist. It's not racist. We built differently. Built differently? What's that mean? Small nut, small head? What do you mean built differently? No heart? No brains? What do you mean built differently? What's built differently? It's pretty generalization to say fucking we built differently. If you built differently, then fucking show it in the ring. That's what today's conversation is about. The fact that these dudes ain't built differently. Because if they were, they'd fucking be proving it in the ring. Everybody likes fucking egg rolls, but it's still fucking an ignorant response to refer to Asian people by that name, right? Keith Thurman is just a talker. Mexicans don't get upset like that. Well, that's true. That's true. That's a fact. Black Americans are far more sensitive than any other race in America. I live in Asia, and when I see white people too, sorry, I should state Americans, not really Latin Americans, but white and black Americans, super fucking sensitive. When I see white people on social media getting upset for Asian people, I'm like, fuck out of here. Why are you upset for Asian people? Asian people can speak for themselves. It's the same as white people getting upset for black people. Shut up. Black people can fucking speak for themselves. You don't need to fucking cap for them and get upset for them. They got fucking mouths. They can talk. If they upset, they will fucking tell you. Why do you need to fucking go up there and Karen it and act like fucking, see, I defend black people, so I'm not a racist. It's like, shut your fucking ass up and sit down. Fuck. Stupid, ignorant fucking people. Only in America where people fucking can worry about other people's business. Dude says, dude, Haney sues Mexicans. Built different, but Haney sues for battery. That's true. That's true. That's true. Built differently. Built like bitches. I guess fucking if you use that as a fucking example, because that shit is fucking crazy. We built like, man, come on. Everybody knows chimpanzees kill fucking gorillas. Maybe you don't know that, but anybody that's educated knows that. Chimpanzees way more dangerous than fucking gorillas. We live in sensitive, shitty world these days. I told this girl a fat joke the other day, and she tried to get me fired. Wasn't even about her. Fuck. Then you should have told her an ugly joke that was about her. Tio might sit out till top rank contract's over. Mikey Garcia 2.0. Why not ruin your career fucking more? You've done such a great job ruining it. You might as well just continue to ruin it fucking more. Right? That's why I don't even fucking talk about Tio. If he ain't going to fight Haney, he ain't going to fight Ryan, he ain't going to fight Tank, he ain't going to fight Bud after all that bullshit, he ain't going to fight Howard, I don't care. Built like gorillas, but cry if you're called an ape. An Asian guy has a channel called Project Egg Roll. Get a sense of humor. Yeah, he's Asian. He can say that. Just like you can call yourself a gorilla. But if I do it, it's racist and ignorant. But you can do it, of course you can. Just like I can call myself fucking pasty white boy. If you say it, that's insensitive. But you'll say it anyway. And because you're black, it's okay. I get it. But the truth is, it's still insensitive and ignorant and racist. The carnival Mexican didn't sue. He wanted it back, and Haney left walking away. He didn't sue. He should have sued. It's funny, if you can't make fun of each other's race, then how can we get over racism? I agree with you, Darius. But the problem is, you being a black man, you can say that because literally you can get away with it. But Latinos, Asians, whites, we can't do that. No way. See, that's the problem. I agree with you. People fucking need to be not so sensitive. You can call me any fucking white, fucking anti-white sort of thing ever. Neanderthal, cave dweller. I've fucking heard it all on my channel. That shit don't bother me. It just makes people that say it sound stupid. She felt you weren't talking about her. Asked Canelo if Tio was his fighter. He said, not yet. Haney's elite, but threw a punch at a carnival and missed. I know. This bunch of African Americans are built different. Yes, they don't fight each other. They want to be friends like Shakur and Keyshawn and Hitchens. Actually, Keyshawn just came out today and said, no, I'll fight fucking anyone. I disagree. I think gorilla would beat a chimpanzee. Gorillas are bigger and stronger. Iceman, do the research. Chimpanzees work as a team. They fucking kill gorillas who are not aggressive by nature. Chimpanzees are smart, team workers. They're fucking vicious little monsters. You can say it to me, I don't care. I ain't black. Well, of course, who doesn't like a dog? If you don't like a dog, then I question you as an individual. Ryan should invite the carnival guy to the press conference. It would be hilarious and get in Haney's head. That would be fucking hilarious, right? Yeah, Ryan, you should totally do that. That's totally the kind of thing you would do too. Too aggressive, that's the problem. Bigger don't mean you win. Exactly. Darius, you lion. Chimps hunt lions too. Yeah, they're smart. Angry motherfuckers. They rip people's faces off and rip their balls off. Vicious little fucking monsters. That's why they say you never get a chimpanzee. Because maybe it loves you until it fucking eats your face. But Ryan bringing up suing thing starts it off with a bang. Nah, I want to see a rematch. There's going to be a rematch. Both of them have too much money to make. Yeah, the smart, they got the privates right away. Exactly. They smart. They go for the privates. Go for it. But I need to get ready. I have to go to that Halloween thing. So wish me luck. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. One-on-one, a gorilla wins. Well, the problem is gorillas still aren't aggressive. So a gorilla ain't going to fight. On paper, it should win, but it probably ain't. Remember, Japanese number 2, peace out. Later.